What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
You listen to the good,
The band.
and the ugly.
Oh, look at that. Almost professional.
Almost. Showing too much five head there. Dude, it's getting so bad.
You're not like this, bro.
No, that's terrible.
I know.
But, you've got the party in the back
I don't
taking
care.
care of it. So,
Yep.
how's everybody doing? How are you doing, Mr. Hefe?
Wonderful. And yourself?
Great. Good weekend?
Yeah.
Do anything fun?
No.
Why not? Life's boring.
You know.
Yeah. Well,
Life gets in the way, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I was doing all kinds of music stuff, so
Cool.
but you know me.
I do.
Got a great show today.
Yeah, dude. Can't wait.
Dude, I've been waiting. Can't wait for this one. So many people have kids in sports.
Yeah.
They have kids in music.
Mm-hmm.
They have, well, let's put it this way. They have kids in sports that should be in music and should not be in sports.
Correct.
How many people did you know growing up that they're like, I'm going to get a basketball scholarship, and all the parents are like, you can do it, Billy.
Yep.
You can do it, Sally.
Yep.
And then you watch the kid play, and they suck.
And you go, nope.
Totally suck. And you're like, wow, maybe you should encourage him to be real smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something.
Be the next Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory.
But if a kid is like 7 hitting 3-pointers
then that's fine.
from the college line,
yeah.
you sit back and you're like, yeah.
Yep, that's him.
But unfortunately, sometimes those parents can't do anything. So they got, they've got the scholarship route.
Yep.
Well, guess what doesn't have a scholarship route?
The music industry.
The music industry. So when you see these phenoms just crushing it,
mm-hmm.
there's always somebody behind them that's making it happen.
And you don't often get to see or hear those people.
Right.
So
today, I'm fiddling because my one ear just forgot to put it in.
Sorry.
Today, we want to bring on someone that I met out at the NAMM show.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been following, this is going to sound, but this is how I am. I've been following the success of his son as a guitar player.
Yes.
Jesus, for years now.
Mm-hmm.
And just through the internet, I was like, man, someday, this is like watching Tiger Woods on The Tonight Show. Years ago, Tiger Woods started to hit some golf balls, and you're going, where's this little kid going?
Right.
And then later on in life, you're going,
look at him.
Holy shit.
Right.
There he is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to say it's an honor to have Brandin Farrant on the show. And let's just bring him in just get started on this because it's such a great story.
There he is.
How are we, boys?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at me. I'm all fucking tiled up.
Screwing around. How you doing, man?
Good, brother. How are you, man?
Great.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Dude, it's an honor to have you on. And, we mentioned your son, his playing and everything is just he's slowly becoming probably going to be I expect the top of everybody's,
I look at it this way.
Conversations.
I've seen videos of him and I just go, I'm going to hang my guitar for like all wall art, just hang it right there.
Dude,
it's fine.
Yeah, my guitars at this stage are good for like timber for firewood and maybe some coffee tables.
Right. Well, the best part is what got me is his son's, and I don't want to turn this all about his son, but
right.
His son had the guitar solo face better than most guitar solos.
Right.
He just had that like
soulful.
You could feel
it.
Yeah.
You feel it.
It was phenomenal. So, but before he could get there was you.
Yep.
So my question is, let's take a little dive to find out who's Brandin. I know you have a history in music, so that's probably what gave him like the
itch.
The itch, and I think I know the story of when he leaned towards you and said, "That's what I want to do." So let's hear.
Yeah, so let's get at it. Taj sort of grew up around me being a drummer. I was actually around Taj's age, around the 7-year-old mark, growing up in like a small surf town in Australia, and there's wouldn't say there's not lots to do. There's a lot to do there now as evolution and things have changed, as you know, towns and stuff do. But like, there wasn't lots to do when we were in Australia, apart from surf and skate and, you know, get into mischief and things like that. And my parents just really always thought that, you know, like, try and keep the kids entertained with like things that are positive, and instead of, you know, ending up in the streets and running amok. And I used to get like, you know, frustrated with school and things like that. So coming home and being able to beat the skins off my drum kit and bend some cymbals like was something that was really important to me. And by the time I was sort of like 10 to 12, like it became a huge part of my life. And then I really like dibbled and dabbled in like acoustic and a bit of piano and pretty much anything. Like I just love instruments for like what they are in general, like, you know. And I think it was just a huge part of my upbringing. And my dad was in bands, and like nothing professional on any of our levels, you know, but just growing up in the house. And a thing in Australia is very common. You know, you sit around the campfire of a night, and you know, you have that time on the beach, and you're just sort of relaxing in that. And I just always had an acoustic around the campfire that was sort of just like an old beater that would just sit there, and Taj at 2 would drag it around the fire and, you know, drag it across the coals, and just, he always had it in his hand. And then sort of like 3, 4, 5, and, you know, he'd stand on it and shove his Hot Wheels in the hole and stuff. Like, you know, when you lose a pick, he'd be like elbow deep in there trying to get his Hot Wheels out. And I just think he just always grew up around it. It wasn't like he was destined to do it until, like you said earlier at the start, that he had like I guess the epiphany, or that critical moment in his life was my mum decided that she wanted to get remarried, and we were just in a position where my stepdad was like, I don't want a bucks party, I'm too old for that, and I don't want any of that, you know, strip clubs and all that sort of stuff. And he was really adamant that he just wanted to go see AC/DC at ANZ Stadium, like 70-something thousand people or whatever it holds. And it was just one of those moments. It's just like, how long will they tour for? Are they going to continue to tour? So we're like, let's just do it. So we went all out, and, you know, you'd probably spend a couple of thousand at a bucks party, but for us, it was like, let's go all in. And it was supposed to be one of his friends, myself, and my brother. And his friend got COVID, I think it was, or something. Probably not COVID. I think it was way before that. Got like something just come up, ill, couldn't turn up. And long story short, I was sort of like sitting in the lounge room, and my brother and I were like just cracking jokes, and he's like, well, how mad would it be if we took Taji to see it? And I was like, dude, that's a lot of people, and he's so little, and if he gets like, you know, overwhelmed, we're gonna have to leave, and like that's a big gamble.
That'll
like,
suck.
And like, yeah, I'm like, man, no, I'm not taking the little fella. And my brother's like, you're a pussy. So then he like put me on the bitch. He's like, you're a pussy, bro. Like, how could you not take your son? And then a couple of days later, we just sort of kept talking about it. And then the old boy's like, Taj has to come, man. Like, could you imagine being 70 if you had the opportunity to go and watch like Jimi Hendrix or someone that you'd loved, or myself at that time was like Gary Moore, Stevie Ray, like those sorts of guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of thought about it. And then I had a chat with my wife, and I was like, are you okay if we take him? And she's just like, no.
I want to. Yeah, she wants to go.
Yeah, she was just like, no, I'm not okay with it, but let's like sit down and work out the logistics of his safety first and foremost, being that young.
Right.
I was like, man, I'm sure there's other kids there, and we sort of just played it off, and we just winged it. We're like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just take him. So we took him, and then we walked in, and the whole way there, he was like listening to like Back in Black and Shook Me All Night Long, and just everything. Like, he was just really all about it. Like, he had Highway to Hell blaring in the truck on the way down there, and he's like got the window down, and he's got a little, I think he had like this little AC/DC bandana my dad had from like the 70s or 80s or something like that, you know what I mean? Like,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And basically like he had it on, and he's like waving it out the window, and he's just like hella pumped. And I just never seen that before, like in my child. Like, I'd never seen like an excitement like that. And he'd only heard their music and like watched videos of like Angus and that playing on YouTube. And
Sure.
But you guys know in the music industry that you can watch 1,000 videos and they do no justice to how good an artist is if you stand in the room.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was really excited for him to see that part, and we got there, and he walked in, and he was just like looking around. He's just like, "Man, this place is massive." I was like, "Yeah, it's big, eh?" And he's like, "Yeah, Dad." And he's like, "All right." So then we went down. I bought him like a leather jacket, and I bought him hats and hoodies and just all this stuff. Like, man, I don't know what they got out of me that day, but congratulations, Angus. You had a good run at the merch stand. But yeah, just went all out, and it was one of those days we're just like, let's just do it. Let's just make the most of this experience. There's no budget. Let's just go all in and just all four of us, 3 generations. Let's just go all out. This is going to be a memory forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Hell's Bells and all these songs started playing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like these guys are sick." And there were a lot of those he didn't really know at the time. He just knew like the favorites that he had, like 3 or 4 songs that he really used to like crank. And then it got to Shook Me All Night Long, and Angus was like under the stage, and they had like a hydraulic lifter. It was like maybe 15, 20 foot, and he went to the solo and just started coming up, coming up, coming up, and he just kept getting taller. And then Taj is up there, and all the screens, like wrapping around the stadium and stuff, and they could see it's just that moment in music history, for us at that time. And yeah, Taj was just frothing. Like he was like his face was glowing, man, and you could just tell he was having the best time. And then like 3/4 of the way through the solo, he was sort of like half on my dad's shoulders and then half on my shoulders. So he had like a butt cheek on this side and one on the other, and the legs hanging down. We had a leg each, and we are holding on for dear life to him. And he was like up on top of us. He's like, what, 6 foot or 6'3" or something. So he's right up there, and he's overlooking everyone on the grandstands and stuff. And he just like sort of held on, and he sort of leant down. He like looked at us, and he just goes, "I'm doing this forever." I was like, "Yeah, all right, mate, no worries." And that's sort of like, I guess, where it all kicked off. It's the rest, I guess, is what they say is history, and that's the moment that really changed his whole world in regards to what his purpose is in this world. And even at that time, I had no idea what was coming.
So I'm going to ask you this before we keep going. So that moment that you looked up and saw the joy on his face, everything, being into music yourself and everything, you had to get a little worked up inside. That had to just hit right there.
It was really overwhelming because do you know how like kids, especially these days, they got like a really short attention span, like TikTok and everything's so easy just to swipe for 30 seconds and the content is consumed in a sense. Unless you trigger somebody instantly, it's not. So to see my son so laser focused, like on something so quick, and you could just see it, like you could see so deep into his soul that night that he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And it was like,
for sure,
really overwhelming as a parent to see somebody so young and be so passionate. And I wasn't sure whether it was just like Angus. It was more like the passion for Angus, if that makes sense, like being a super fan type thing. But it really wasn't. It was every day. I'm getting a guitar for my birthday, aren't I, Daddy? And I'm like, yeah, maybe a couple of grand, the one you want, so probably not. But that's a lot. There's a few more tattoos Dad's going to have to go and do, and pick up an extra couple of Saturday tattoos and that to be able to make this happen. So we'll see, sort of thing, And Cass and I made a deal with him, with my mum and dad as well. We, you guys know, a decent Gibson SG, the same as Angus's, is about 3,000 for a good one. So we just set a budget, and we're like, okay, that's the budget that we have to buy that. And you have to be able to play 5 songs of your choice, no pressure, whatever you want to do, start to finish. And the solos have to have a pretty good attempt. Like, doesn't have to be perfect, but like it has to resemble it at least, and know that it's worth having an instrument like that. And investing that sort of money into something to a 7-year-old at the time, because he wanted trampolines and motorbikes and push bikes, and they all just go in the bin or in the garage, and you got eight motorbikes and you've got 6 push bikes and you've got 3 trampolines with half the springs missing, and they just sit there and rust. So it was just more that was what we worried about, just wasting money on things that we thought he might not continue to do in a sense. But hey, shut me up,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
At what point did you say, you know what, we've got to let people see this. This is incredible.
It's really funny because the reason Taj went viral is not the reason that everybody thinks, and that's what I really like about you guys giving me the opportunity today.
Yeah.
The reason, the technology back then, you couldn't send a full version of Tennessee Whiskey, which is like a 5-minute or 4 and a bit minute video, to somebody over text message because the file was too large.
Right.
So my intention was to put it on Facebook, and I put it on there because I knew I could upload that size of a video. But I tagged my mum and my brother in it because they weren't with us at the time, and we were sort of like living somewhere else, and it was just easy instead of like trying to upload it to like those, I don't know, like transfers and all these cloud things and that I have no idea. I was just like, man, I can just push the button. It's going to go. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
Speak of the devil, it's my brother, believe it or not.
You should have brought him on. We could have thanked him.
I know. But yeah, so we were just in that, we're just in that sort of predicament at the time where we couldn't really figure out how we were going to get it so that my parents could see how far he'd progressed, in a sense.
Right.
You know? Okay. Because he just got his new SG. We got it was a 91 Ibanez Prestige, and it was about $300 and something. We bought it on Facebook Marketplace. It had the double cut, so it kind of looked a bit like a Melody Maker. We found a maroon one. It wasn't quite cherry red, but like we did the best we could with what we had, and it was a really good. And he had like a little Fender Mustang modeling amp, I think it was.
Okay.
So I think that was pretty cool at the time too, you know, for him to even have a little amp that had built-in like
built-in
effects and stuff. Didn't have to have like pedals and that. He wasn't even at that level. But anyway, we got that, and then he just got his SG. He blew us all out of the water. He done the 5 songs. I think he did about 15, and he was doing pretty much everything, but still like needing a lot of work. You know, we hadn't touched on modes or scales or anything like that. He was just playing the songs for what they were and watching the videos over and over and see where the hand placement was and just getting him familiar with the instrument. Saw a couple of lessons with the teachers and stuff. And then, I put it on Tennessee Whiskey online and tagged my parents in it, and had like 11.2 million views in 7 days.
Jeez. Holy cow.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, well, that wasn't meant to happen. And I just sort of from there thought, man, this is cool that like people really love what he does and he gets to make people happy, and it's something that he's really passionate about. And then like I sat there and I showed him, like he had like 29,000 comments and 16 or 17,500 shares.
I killed for 29.
Like, you know, like, so for me it was just like, one, I was super proud, and I was just like wanted everyone to see at that time like how far he progressed in such a short amount of time. That was only about 7-8 months in, I think, at that stage.
Right.
And he was just like, he was just really, really enjoying it. So that was, I guess, that was the true reason where Taj was found on the internet.
So you almost want to figure out who, if you tagged your parents in it, which one of your friends or your parents' friends said, oh, hell, I am sharing this shit.
Right.
I want to know who's the first
who
share.
Who shared the first one.
Right.
Yeah, who clicked that first share. It'd be cool if the analytics showed you that. I think that would be like nearly a piece of history, I guess. Maybe that person was the person that kickstarted this, you know.
Yeah.
Like, definitely buy him a beer, that's for sure.
Well, make sure it's not somebody, you know, like a cousin that, you know, is going to get into your shorts for $1 million someday, you know. If it wasn't for me,
if it wasn't for me,
they'd have to talk to Taj about that, man, because he runs this ship. Like he's very hands-on with his whole company. Like he knows, like 14 years old, he shouldn't know. He should be just worried about just playing, which he does.
Right.
But like when it comes to like the designing of the merch, and like we had 8 or 9 shows on offer today. He got offered a lot of festivals and all these sorts of things, and like he won't sleep at night if he doesn't know exactly where he's going how many days it takes to get there in the bus, and like he just wants to have so much say in his career, and that's why I guess I've kept him independent at this stage, because it's like it's his ship. We just basically have a set of bowling alley bumpers with myself and Cass, so that like we just let him drive it, and if he veers a little to the right, Cass will sort of kick him back that way, and I'll do the same. But he has to drive this. This is not anything that anybody can teach him. He has to figure this out. So
that's cool.
When it came to starting to really build the brand, though, I mean, at the time he was 8 by the time, was it Gibson found him? And
really, 9 it was Gibson. He went to his first NAM, and it's funny because I actually sold. I had a late 60s, like 68, 69 V-Wing that my grandparents bought me, and I had it since I was Taj's age, and it was just something that was always there, and it was like basically my number one guitar at that time, like walnut, similar to like Bonamassa's type one, like the one that he got from Norm's, but obviously not, Holy Grail of $500,000, but it was definitely at the time. I think it was valued at about 10 or 11,000. I'd had it since I was 16 or 17. I had it a long time, and I just couldn't work as many hours as I could to even make it a possibility to go to NAM. And everyone kept saying to me, man, like that kid needs to go to NAM, and if he goes to NAM and he does what he does, like a lot of brands are going to help you, which is going to stop you guys having to do every Saturday to keep buying guitars and pedals and stuff.
Right.
And it's going to allow him to focus on him playing if you can get him in the door with the right people. And posted a whole heap of videos with him with his SG, and then I spoke with Gibson, and they were like, oh, we'd love to meet you guys. Like, they didn't offer to pay to get him there or anything like that. They just said, like, if you're there, we'd love to meet you and things like that. And I sold my guitar and flipped it, and I'm like, let's do it. Like, let's go. So
but that's
it was one of those things. Yeah, it was one of those things. It's like once in a lifetime Nelly opportunity. Like, there was an invite there for him to meet with like a brand that could potentially really help change things and a new trajectory for like what he wants to do. And I couldn't give him that. I'm just a dad from this little surf town, so it's like, what option do you have? So I was like, you know what, I really care less about this at this present time, and this I really want to see him happy. And it's like, how do I do it? And at that time it just made sense to flip it, and we went to NAM, and the rest was history. I think he walked out with 9 major endorsements on the first year he was in NAM.
I'm gonna hang out with I'm hanging out with your son next year.
Bro, yeah. You get amongst it. It's a wild ride, man. Like, but he's really professional and really good at what he does when it comes to like branding and stuff like that.
Right.
He knew that like his dreadlocks and his hat was so different to anyone else. So like the logo and the way that he sat down with Mel, our tour manager, but she started originally as a videographer, photographer that would come and shoot a couple of shows for me so I could get some better quality stuff to give you guys online. Because like I'd just do these ones and whatever, and go home and I'd open iMovie on some crappy old laptop that didn't really work properly and just wasn't quality, and sometimes the audio would be bad. You got somebody that knows how to like change frequencies and make things not so distorted and stuff. So just little things like that. And I think, like having Mel, she worked alongside me for just shy of 2 years, and she had a full-time job. She never asked for $1 out of it. She just saw potential in Taj, and she said, I just love, he's got a really good attitude, and he's just a good kid. He's got great manners. Every time I work with him, he's always so polite, and he deserves it. He's a great player, and I think the world deserves to see the happiness that he brings. And yeah, she was my ride or die, I guess, at that stage, and she ran the ball up and just helped me build the YouTube and the Instagram and all that sort of stuff up. I mean, I do a lot of, I guess, the analytics and when to post, what time to post. I had to figure that out, but she would literally give me the best quality content to put online at that time. And then like it blew up, man, like blew up.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? You told me a little bit about some of the things that you personally gave up. You gave up more than a guitar.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was that point, and then it was a lot easier to like offload businesses and homes and things like that, because you realize that it becomes an it's just an asset. It's just things.
Yep.
Like anything that you own or I own or every person that watching owns, in 100 years from now, someone else owns it. So it's things
or the land
stuff
or the landfill.
Yeah, right.
Do you get what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like what's really important. And you know, I'd been through some pretty heavy things in my life to get me to a mindset of that. Like, you know, I had a few like family things go on when I was younger, and things didn't really matter. Like, it was just always family, and that's kind of what I'm getting to. Like, my mum didn't have a lot. Like, we didn't have a lot growing up. Like, you know, you kind of portray that you did and you thought you were cool, but man, like you're just a young kid that was trying to fit in with people and stuff. But like, our parents didn't have a lot, man. Like, we did the best we could with what we had. And you know, sometimes or most of the time you went without, and your mum would work extra jobs, and then you'd get that cool skateboard, and like, you know what I mean, things like that. Like, you just we didn't have lots, you just appreciated a lot more. And I think for us, we didn't really care about things. My wife and I have never really cared about things. We've had things and it didn't make us happy, so things don't really mean anything. Right. So we focused all of our energy on our little family. Like, we had Taj at 21, 22, I think I was. And that's a big task to take. I mean, I know people take on children at 16, 20 and 19, like, I know a lot younger than what Cass and I did. But for us in our lives, I think I felt 21 was really young, sort of, to be a dad. And I had no instruction manual on how to do it, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I guess we just relied on each other to bounce off each other. And the one thing that we made a deal on was that the kids would come first, and that they would not need for anything, and that they wouldn't be materialistic, and it would be more about like the family aspect of it, because, you know, that's your legacy. Like, that's your real legacy in this.
I saw it firsthand. I saw just watching him play, I saw you and everybody, you know, that day at the Ultimate Ears stage, which we have to mention. Ultimate Ears, we do, our sponsor of the show.
Tony, my boy.
There you go. Give it a shout out. To
Taj is actually working with Ultimate Ears right now on custom made, and Tony's looked after the whole band.
Yeah.
Obviously, Taj's sister's a monster little drummer for 13, and you know, he's even hooked her up. He's like, nope, can't do one without the other. Anything they need, like, Ultimate Ears, man. Big love to all of you.
Yes, definitely.
I can't speak more highly of anyone. They're great guys.
Yes, they are. The whole crew over there. There's a one person that's not. And
no, absolutely. Destiny, she's like given my daughter a lot of encouragement, like being a young girl from the industry herself. And Giselle's coming up, and she kind of, I don't like to say it, but like lives in the shadow of how talented her brother is, and she's trying to put her own stamp on the industry, but she has this shadow over there saying that, like, yeah, I'm a cool player and I'm great at what I do, but yeah, I know my brother's a monster. Like, I know my brother's Taj Farrant. So it's like, she's been really helpful at NAMM. They sat down and they had a great conversation, and she was just like, keep doing what you're doing, Zell, you're killing it, and, you know, girl power and all that. So it's cool. Yeah, we got, you know, can't speak more highly of a brand. They're all good to us, and for all different reasons. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, Jeanette Coffey's been freaking fantastic to me. And like I told her when we were doing some stuff, I said, look, next year I'll give you a day. I'll stick around here, and I'll say hello to whoever you want me to say hello to, and just work, you know, just work the crowd for you. Just telling them,
for sure,
these things are in my ear a lot. You know,
man, day in, day out. It's like Taj holding the Kiesels. Like, Taj was with Gibson for a long time, and Taj is just one of those kids that he doesn't want to play one instrument anymore. Like, he wants to play everything. Every guitar he holds means something different to him, and it motivates him to write new music and play different songs. Like, you know, he'd play an ESP, he'd be smashing some Kirk Hammett out, he got the SG, he might be ripping out some Jimmy Page or some, you know, it just, everything means something so different to him. And I think that was the reason why technically he just wants to be with anybody. And then, like, now he plays a lot of Kiesels. Like, Kiesels are not known for blues, at all. So, Taj plays what Taj feels.
I watched
sort of like what you were getting at earlier.
Yeah.
The reason why you like Taj with the faces and all that sort of stuff is because it doesn't matter if he's holding a $300 Squire or $100,000 Strat. Like,
right.
Taj sounds like Taj.
He the way he carries himself at 14, he carries himself like a 40-year-old pro in the business. I saw him walking.
Been here before.
I saw
some
him.
People might say that's silly.
Yeah.
Like, or some people might not believe in that. But like I always say to my wife, it's like he's lived another life way before us.
Yeah, he's done this.
Yeah, like,
he already knows where he needs to be yesterday.
Yeah, he's just putting the dominoes together at this stage. That's all he's doing.
It's just really a testament to you guys, though, and how you raised him, though. Honestly,
right.
Yeah, but I think I've said this before. It's like people go, man, you guys are killing it, and can't believe, like, oh, you must be so proud of him and this and that. It's like, our jobs as parents is to bring the best out in them, make sure you can prepare them for when you're no longer here, of how they're going to cope and what sort of human they're going to be.
Yeah.
It's like, that's our job.
Right.
So it's like, I get it, and I'm super grateful for like the praises and stuff like that, but like, that's my job.
Right.
My job as a dad is to make sure that like Taj and Giselle need for nothing.
Right.
Like, and it's not like financially, that's absolutely not what I'm talking about. What I mean by absolutely need for nothing is that they know that like they have a mum and dad that absolutely love them unconditional. They've got really good grandparents, family around them. They've got great relationships with their cousins and things like that, because like that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
That's what this game that we play, that the life we live is like a big chessboard.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people can make the wrong jump or lose that part or whatever, but like this is it. Yeah. Life is exactly what you make it, and if you get rid of all the other things that really don't mean anything, like money. You ask Taj, he says this to me all the time. I was like, "Oh, how cool was that? You did that show, and they paid you X amount of dollars." He's like, "Yeah, it just puts fuel in my bus. I get to go here next month. I'm going to watch Eric Gales play in like." I think he got a phone call from Eric Gales just a couple of nights ago, and next minute I'm in the bus at like 1:15 in the morning driving to Atlanta while he's sleeping in his bunk or playing an Xbox or something, and like I'm taking him 6 hours from Florida across like Jacksonville to Atlanta or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd done the mission straight after a show to get him there, and then he just hung out with Eric for the day, and they just were talking music and geeking out over equipment and stuff, and that's what he cares about. Like how much he made at a show and things like that. It means nothing to Taj. Taj could be worth 150 million, and you won't get anything different out of Taj because, like you said, Taj is Taj. Taj cares about music and he loves making people happy with what he does.
I'm watching him walk through now, and all of you, and this is where I that's when I approached you. He was at a couple of the booths, and I said, I wanted to come up to you and just tell you what the admiration I had for what you as a family have done, because I followed the story. I feel like there's parts of my show that we do here that Jeff knows. There's certain stories and there's certain things that I fanboy out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've met some of our most influential people growing up, and you mentioned Bonamassa. I mean, he's from Syracuse. He's from right here.
Yeah,
so,
from Utica.
Yeah. So in fact,
Absolutely,
one of the guys that was on our show before. He with the big B started to learn how to sing himself.
Oh yeah.
He had one of our friends singing for all his projects and everything. So,
that's cool.
So watching that unfold.
Taj just announced Joe just announced Taj will be playing at the Mediterranean, Keeping the Blues Alive cruise for next year. He'll be on the 25
so
cruise,
cool.
so that's gonna be pretty cool.
We're gonna have to
so
call.
Cool.
We're gonna. I reached out to Joe.
To Joe?
Yeah. We'll see. But what I did notice at the show is that Taj was kind of just sauntering up to some of the booths. I try to picture it. What would my daughter have done at 14? Now, my daughter. My daughter, she's got a mouth and an attitude a little bit like mine. She's very street smart. She doesn't take any shit.
No way.
But she's still a little, she would wanted me like right there.
Mm-hmm.
He was holding his own crowd, but I watched, you and the rest of your camp kind of just perimeter checking, making sure, doing the right thing.
It's security at that point.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, I can't tell him what to do and what guitars to play and what pedals he likes and that. So
right.
I'm a glorified security bus driver.
Right.
At this point. Like,
I don't care how big
right.
when you're 17, you're driving this fucking bus.
You're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Some days, I am in absolute awe, and sometimes I think to myself, is he growing up too fast? But like you said before, him being such an old soul, Taj doesn't know any different. The reason he is the way he is because he believes that he's genuinely destined to make people happy with what he does.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He will tell you 1,000 times over, or like I said earlier in our conversation pre this, like Taj played Kane's Ballroom last night. Kane's Ballroom is one of the most iconic venues. Like, Chris Stapleton played there only a few weeks before Tennessee Whiskey dropped, and that was it. Game over. Stadiums, straight to stadiums.
Right.
And just he was walking around the green room and just looking like Willie Nelson, everyone that's played there, the Police, Sting, like everyone has played there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was absolutely all about it. The energy last night was absolutely scary. It's like Nelly defies the laws of physics of actually what's possible with an instrument. Like, that's what it was like last night. So cool. And it was because the energy in the room and the vibe of the actual room and the history behind it made him go to a whole new level.
Yeah.
But then a week before that, he was in St. Augustine at a festival. He played with Kingfish and like awesome venue, crazy, like 3,000 people. He played amazingly. The vibe was really good, but it was nothing like last night.
Yeah.
There's some venues and some nights that just are really special.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the little old man we've got. He's a 70-year-old trapped in a 14-year-old body.
So, we asked this question of all artists. You've played long enough, and has there been a time throughout this process that something has just gone so wrong that nobody knew, and it was either up to you or someone else
to fix it
before it became
a huge problem?
Yeah. Almost like the biggest blooper you guys have seen.
So we just moved here only 8 months ago. We bought a 96 Fleetwood Bounder. That's what we could afford when we first moved here. The visas were like $40,000 or $50,000 to get approval for Taj to move here on his special exemption 01s and 2s, or I don't know. That's all my wife's thing. But like, the legal fees were astronomical.
Right.
Like astronomical by the time we did that. So we'd invested a lot of money into like legally being able to live here and do it all the right way and make sure his career was set up and just everything that goes in behind the scenes of it, like, bank accounts and social security and all that. That's not here nor there. But at that point, we'd invested the small little bit we had, and we kept like a little rainy day fund in case something happened. And we'd done a heap of shows, and he was just starting to build his bank. And my wife and I go, all right, it's time to get a second bus. We quite only just had enough to pay for Taj's new bus, which is the one we're in now. And the plan was to give the Bounder, the older one, we renovated it, new floors, full set of bunks, new air conditioners, painted it, door handles, toilets, everything inside looked brand new, completely renovated it, which I also did at Rick Skillman's house from Celestian Speakers. We left a show in Buda, Texas, and we drove to his, and I literally used his whole driveway as like a workshop. He was lending me drills and tools and helping me go down to the Home Depot and all these stuff to get parts. Like, that's how, I guess, hard it is behind the scenes. I get to see the glitz and glamour of it. But long story short is, the family needed a bus. We needed something new, and we're living in it full time, touring at the moment until Taj and Giselle and my wife and myself want to settle down. Like, we like Austin, we like Missouri, certain parts of Missouri, like Springfield and places like that. We don't know where we want to live yet full time. So at the moment, don't invest money into something that you're not there anyway. 8 to 10 months of the year, he's going to be on the road for the next probably 2 years until he is probably, either wants to write another album or I don't know. He'll figure it out. That's his journey. But we just bought the new bus, and I think we were left with about 10,000. That's everything we had left to our name. And then we done a show at Ludlow Garage in Cincinnati, and we took a wrong turn. We already knew that there was some issues with the gearbox, and like the transmission side of things was getting a little hot towing the trailer with all of the Friedman amps and all of we got a massive trailer full of all the equipment. And I just knew we couldn't lean on it too hard. Anyway, we took a wrong turn and we went down, and there was a railroad bridge clearance of 12.5 foot. And I think the air conditioner was about 14 foot.
Yep.
So we had to reverse up this hill and try and do like a 30-point turn to try and get around. And just reversing up, transmission let go. We dumped about 12 quarts of transmission fluid down this massive hill, and it was a $12,500 fix, $2,500 to tow it. Not insured for like that damage, like it's insured if it got stolen or burnt or caught on fire, but it wasn't like your transmission goes, good luck to you, champ.
Right, pretty much.
So we ended up having to we got a bill, I guess, from the city that was like the cleanup and the like all of the things that go into like the towing of it to get it off the road. They had to use a 55-ton tow because it was like 34 foot and it weighed like 20,000 pounds or something like that. So they had to have a special machine move it. Plus the trailer was hooked to it. It was on a hill like this. And we ended up signing it over to the city, and they just auction it, and the debt's basically wiped. So we had 35, nearly 40,000 invested in that. And it was just rough, absolutely rough. We all ended up having to get into the new bus. There was 9 of us in the new bus here, and we were doing show to show, and we were 17 hours from our home base, and we didn't have a hire car. We didn't have funds to just go and buy another bus. And it was like we were this close to financially having to go home. And that's me being completely transparent. We nearly had to go home. We just didn't have anything left. We were tapped. Like there was no assets left to sell. There was like we were all in on it, And I don't know, I just good faith and honesty, taking the right jobs and turning up and putting on a good show. And even though it sucked and we were in a position where we thought we were going to go home, we still turned up and were really grateful for our opportunity and had a smile on our face and let that part of our day, don't bring it to work type thing.
Yes,
something like our parents taught us, don't bring it to work. Just turn up, do what you got to do, go home, whinge about it later.
Yep.
And we done about 3 or 4 shows, and we had a little bit of money behind us, but enough to like not have to worry whether we're going to have enough for RV parks and fuel, and can we afford to invest the last little bit we have to get to that side of California from Florida. We've got 10 shows from that side to that side, and we're 2, 3 to 4 hours in between. If those first 4 suck, then that's it. It's game over.
Right.
And we turned up to Naples in Florida and Boca Raton, and they were both sold out back to back. And he had like 250 t-shirts or something like that, and he sold out like that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And it just, something clicked. Something clicked, like in the community, and it couldn't have come at a better time, because we potentially might not even be having this conversation now from where I am. I would potentially say we might be back in Australia at that point, and we're about 20 shows post that moment, about 2 months ago, and now he's in the best position he's ever been in. He's playing so well. He's playing from somewhere so deep that it's really special. It's really special to watch, because like, as you guys know, like I'm a musician myself, but I'm nowhere near the musician that he is. And I'm sure a lot of people watching may feel the same way. Taj is just a really good kid, and I think you were saying, like how he holds himself and the way that he uses his manners, and he's really grateful for his opportunity. The fans out there now are really starting to get who Taj is. He's not just that YouTube kid anymore, or that kid that was on Ellen, or the kid that's played with Santana, and like all those sort of special moments in their careers that people were like, they found him on that video where he played with Santana, or they found him on the AGT show, or do you know what I mean? Like those critical moments that brought them in as fans. That's really not anything anymore. All those moments have slowly whittled out, and they're like, man, this kid's just badass, and he's just got a great attitude, and he's really great. Like, we got to meet him at the show. Like last night at Canes, we left the stage, and then I was taking him out to the bus, and he veered left and said, come on, and he walked straight over to the merch stand, and he shook like 400 plus people's hand and didn't leave the merch stand at the end of the night, and literally got photos with everyone and said, thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful that you guys are here. Like, and he means it, because like 2 months ago we were looking at going home. So it's like, you know, you got to be grateful, and you have to wear your gratitude on you right here. You got to wear your gratefulness right there.
Well, when you see him play every night, do you think he's ever had an off night?
Hell yeah. And I'm the first one to tell him.
Okay. Fair enough.
I just tell him straight up. I go, bro, that sucked. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, sound like you're just playing notes.
Right.
He's like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean, Dad? And like, I'm the hardest on him. Like, I am definitely the hardest on him, because if I can't be honest with him, no one's going to. Like,
exactly.
No one will be more honest with him than me.
Exactly.
Like, if he plays a whole heap of terrible runs that are just like he's trying to play 1,000 notes a second, like, that's great, but that doesn't sell records. This is the thing I always say to him. I go, Gary Moore didn't sell records because he shred. Gary Moore sold records because he held one note in the middle of a room with 20,000 people there, or 10,000 people in that room. He held one note and the sustain and just held it like that.
Yeah.
And the whole room just erupted. So if you can do that with one note, that's what's special.
Yes.
Like, you know.
You know, it's funny you say that. My daughter went to school for fashion design, and 5 years old, she's drawing, just filling notebook after notebook of drawings. And I remember her first time she comes walking up, and she like lays the book in front of me, and I'm like, what is it?
Nice stick figure.
No, I go, what is it? She goes, well, what does it look like, Daddy? I said, a vase. She goes, it's a dress. I said, that's not a dress. I said, you could do better than that. So she walks away. My mother looks at me like, don't crush her dreams. I'm like, no.
No, you're not.
Be honest.
Yes.
And say.
100%.
Because if you start telling the kid he can shoot 3-pointers and he can't even dribble yet, you're going to put him down a completely wrong path.
Exactly.
And I get this all the time. Like, there's like lots of other parents out there that have children that are in the music industry, and they're doing extremely well, and I'm so proud of every single one of them, because music isn't a competition. It's really not. This is not a competition. It's a
community.
A lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's a lifestyle.
Yep.
Like, you got to love this. You got to love this, or there's no point doing it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, I hear certain parents sometimes comparing their kids to Taj, or they'll be like, oh, you know, like, if they do that, oh, Taj got on Ellen. Well, how do you get your kid on Ellen?
I don't
know.
Good.
I didn't know special phone number that I had that I rang. Like, Taj put a video up and I got a phone call. So it's just like, I think sometimes people's expectations and what they think this industry is and how things come about.
Right.
It's like they think there's a magic wand that you wave around. If there is, I'm definitely going to sell them. They will sell out like hotcakes.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's just like, sometimes people can be naive to how hard this is behind the scenes. And
yes,
Taj gets to do the good part, and that's my job. Like we spoke about at the start, it's mine and my wife's job to build a really good team, to keep everything in-house. And to make sure that he has full creative control of everything until he feels it's necessary that he needs to either join the wheel, if ever he joins the wheel of the music industry outside of him being independent and doing his own thing. That's totally up to him. And I think at 14, is he ready? Maturely, no. He's very mature, but is he mature enough to have someone go, you can't post that at that time, or you can't go there and play that show because we've got this on. It could conflict with that. Like Taj gets to put fuel in the bus, take a phone call, and the next day he's on stage with Eric Gales.
Right.
And then 2 days after that, he's on stage with Kingfish, and then, Buddy Guy. And like, this is the most important part of his life,
right?
His childhood. And I use this analogy a lot. You know, the kids that are obsessed with Xbox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Taj's Xbox.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, this is his Xbox.
Yeah.
So when they go, oh, he just plays all the time. Like, does he ever get time to be a kid? Okay, I'm going to ask a really serious question. Define what a child's supposed to do.
Right.
Define to me what a child's supposed to do.
Have
so if my
fun.
Child was playing, but if my child was playing Xbox all day, or he was out digging worms, or a trampoline, or they're just social activities.
Right.
That's all they are. They're social activities. So my son chose a different social activity that at a young age has developed into something that he wants to do for the rest of his life, that not only financially, but emotionally and spiritually, it's going to take him on one of the biggest journeys he's ever going to do, if not the biggest journey in his whole life.
Right.
Apart from maybe getting married and having his own family, this is going to be a good 50 to 70% of who Taj is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really important that parents and I guess people out there, I would never say to him, you play too much.
I don't think you can.
No.
Yeah, you can't play too much. Like, do I encourage him to go outside and do other things? Yes. But I'm sure every other parent here would also say, well, my son plays Xbox or PlayStation, and half the time I can't get them out of their bedroom. They're screaming through the headset at a friend in China or, like, Australia back home, and they're all, do you know what I mean? Like, that's their social activity. So for me, I'm just in a different spot. My Xbox that I have trouble with, that I can't get him off, is the guitar. It's like dinner time at 7 o'clock or 8:30 or whatever we've got going on, or maybe we have an early dinner, and it's like he's playing, and I'm like, bro, we've got to have dinner, and I'm like, your mother's going to kill us, man. Like, we've been in here for like 5 hours, and she's spent 3 hours doing a lamb roast, and she got the gravy on, and it's all beautiful, and she's got it all planned out, and she spent all week. Tuesday night's going to be that, and she's gone to the effort to do it. Let's go in there. And he's like, but I want it. I'm like, yep, my kid's normal. He's normal. He's 14. Right. Doesn't want to do things that they don't want to do.
Exactly.
They're headstrong. They're going to continue to do something that's more fun versus having to do something that's boring, like eat dinner at a certain time. But yeah, so that's probably the best way I could explain it, if I explained it at all. I guess that would be the best way to explain it. It's just his Xbox. This is what he does.
Right. I don't think anybody could ever say that you and your wife haven't kept him humble, but still let him be him. And
look, I'll be honest. I counter that with we've had I myself and Cass get a lot of backlash every now and then. I wouldn't say like lots. Let's change that. Actually, I wouldn't say that we get a lot of backlash, but we've had times where like it's a little hotter 1 month versus another month. Like sometimes you hear nothing, and then sometimes they go, oh, the parents are just riding the coattail of the child, and he's making all the money, and and they get to kick back and do nothing, and like you get that. But I think that's just like you learn really fast that it's like people are bored and they got nothing to do, and they're just like talking crap, and they're like, well, I'm gonna have my 2 cents worth, and I've clearly been a big influence on the music industry, so here's my 2 cents worth. So it's like people are opinionated, and it doesn't matter whether it's like politics or anything. Everyone's always going to have an opinion over something, but my family know where we stand, and we know what we've put into this. And we've had the days where my wife sat on the floor and been in tears, and she's like, this is so hard, and I just want to go home and see my mum. And like we lost Cass's grandmother, which the kid's great grandmother, we lost her at the night of the Nashville show that we just done a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And I said to Cass, like, he's going to find out, because all of the cousins are talking, and like I said, they're all so close. He's going to find out before the show. I guarantee you, because it was like 6 o'clock in the morning for us, midnight-ish back in Sydney. And Cass's mum had rang through, and we'd obviously had the conversation, and I said, maybe we'll wait till the morning and we'll see see how things are, and I don't want to tell him before the show. And then it was vice versa. Like, I was in the headspace of like, I don't want to tell him, and then she was like, I don't want to tell him. But then we both collectively had a good conversation. We're like, we better tell him, because if he finds out from not us, then he's going to be like
pissed,
hella mad at us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just made the like corporate decision together as a husband and wife, and we told him. And then I said to him, the first thing I said is like, I want to know if you want to cancel the show or the next 2 or 3, please let me know, and we will put in whatever you need in place so that you can deal with this. Like, get your head around it. Like, this is a huge thing in your life, and I just want to make sure you're okay, and that's our job as parents to make sure that that's the outcome from that. So just let mum and dad know what it is that you need, and we'll put it in place. But I'm really sorry, and I love you, and there's not a lot I can do in this moment other than tell you I love you and embrace you as your parent, and hopefully that helps you feel a little bit better. But you got to process it on your own. There's no, like, how I deal with it was different, how my wife dealt with it, and Giselle dealt with it different. So you're the one that has to get on stage tonight. So you just process it. And if I have to stand at the door and shake everyone's hand and say, I'm so sorry, we've just had a family emergency, I can't really get into too much details, but happy to refund or hold your tickets till later. I will stand there and do it all night, mate. And he goes, there's no way I'm cancelling that show. He goes, it's the only place well, not the only place. He goes, but it's the one place that I'm most happy. He goes, and like, you think Nan would have wanted that? He's like, no way. And like, he just got on stage and he just was so professional, and he just didn't show 1 ounce of any form of something major in his world had happened. He was just so professional at, like, that's probably one of the most proudest moments I've ever been of my son. Because it's cool, like I said, he's played with Santana and Kiss and all of these cool moments, but like, for a 14-year-old to conduct himself like that and still hold his stuff together, and he just lost his great grandmother 6 hours before, and he just got up on stage and he just let it eat. And it was like the most overwhelming and really cool thing to see. And what I mean by cool is that, like, he could have just crumbled and said, I'm done, like, I'm over it, just let me have a break, and made it about himself. But that's why Taj is who he is. Because he's so selfless. Like, he's such a selfless person. He gives so much of himself, right down to every live stream and video that he does on his channels and stuff. He'll sit there and read as many questions as he can. And he's just so giving. He's such a giving kid.
Yeah. He was a true gentleman. I was happy to introduce myself, shake the kid's hand, and, you know, I that came out wrong. Shake the kid's hand. Well, you know, I'm going to say kid. I'm old, for God's sake.
He's still a young kid, man. He's a young adult in a sense, but
he's,
like, man, what were we doing at 14? We weren't doing what he was doing. That's for sure.
I think I was smoking dope at 14.
Sign me up. So was I.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
garbage, but
that's what I mean.
Still
Like,
dope.
I think that's why this works, though. Like, because I've lived my life, and my wife lived a very different life, and she has things to bring to the table, and I have things to bring to the table, and we try to steer him, like we said, the ship through the middle and the bumpers either side. Or like the bowling ball going down the alley and putting the bumpers up so it doesn't go in the trap. Like, that's why this works, because we put more effort into our marriage, and our kids succeed from that. It's not like we don't go all in on the kids and it's just like we neglect all the other things. Like, our marriage is so good, and we both know exactly who we are as people, and we trust each other unconditionally, and there's no boundaries on what we will do for each other, and the rest is easy. Like, doing the kids stuff, yes, it's hard. None of this is meant to be easy or everyone to be doing it. But because our marriage is always on point, well, not always on point, but like, you know, it's I'm really comfortable with where we are, and so she, that like all the other stuff that sometimes gets in the road that could hinder, like, you know, if we weren't good, how are we supposed to go on tour together? Like, and work side by side, and how are we supposed to like make life-changing decisions for 2 children, not just one, but predominantly Taj? How are we supposed to make a life commitment, move into America, or do you know what I mean? So it's like you have to start at that real solid foundation.
Yeah.
And that's why this works so good, because we're solid as a rock.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's very awesome for you guys.
What about what's plans? What plans does your daughter have for moving along her career path?
Zelle's a funny one, man. She's a tricky one. Let's get into this.
All right.
Zelle's a tricky one because Giselle is super headstrong. And like, when I mean headstrong, she's 50 times more headstrong than Taj. She is not a diva or anything like that. She likes the music she likes. And like, would I give anything to have her be in Taj's band full time and watch both my children on stage? Selfishness, absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything more precious than watching them both together. And I have seen it, and I glow every time. Giselle likes System of a Down. She loves.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, what is she?
I was going to say,
what is she into?
Yes.
Aside from what Taj is,
But then the next minute she's listening to like Billie Eilish and, you pop stuff like, like Giselle's a top 40 kid, all genre.
Okay.
Where Taj is like, I don't know. She tried to play some song to Taj the other day, and he's like, "Who's that?" She's like, "Oh, this guy. He's like mad. He's doing this and doing that." And Taj's like, "That sucked." Like, they're just so different. Like, and it wasn't like the person's musicianship. It's not his flavor.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Taj is a 70-year-old. He's a 70-year-old white kid that's got the blues in him.
Yes.
That's living in a 14-year-old body. Like, they're so different, like that chalk and cheese type thing,
Sure.
And
yeah,
she is really headstrong. So like, if they go to play something, she's like, "Let's play this," and Tasha's like, "Yeah, I'm not playing that." And then she's like, "Well, I'm not playing that." Well, I get to sit there and do like a 4/4 beat, and it's real slow, and I did like tap a cymbal or a little bit of a ride, and that she's like, "That's boring. I want double kicks, and I want to like fly around the kit and
That's awesome.
have as many rack toms as I can." And
right.
so that's what I mean by Zelle's a tricky one. It's like, I would love to slot her in at some stage to do like multiple songs with him or this and that, but I think it's just really important that she just does the same as what Taj did.
Mm-hmm.
And if at some stage they come together as her musical taste grows and his may or may never shift, it's a tricky one. It's tricky as a parent. I would never push her towards him, and I would never push him towards her. So if it means that I have to be in Vegas one night and fly across to New York on a Saturday because Taj is there and then Giselle's there at a later date, then that's what I have to do. I don't know, man. I just, it's just about whatever makes them both happy. And I think Giselle would really like to like get up at some of the big shows and like just play like on stage with him to build the experience and stuff. That's something that she's mentioned to Cass and I really recently. Like, she saw St. Augustine at like 3,000 or whatever it was. So she was like, "Oh man, that would have been so cool playing with Taj." I'm like, "Oh, well, sucks to be you. You could have got up there, but you didn't want to play The Sky is Crying." Like, you know what I mean? So she's just like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to suck it up, princess. Like, you didn't want to play it, and that's the consequences that come from, I guess, that moment, decision you made. That's the consequence from it. So like recently, the last couple of weeks, like after St. Augustine, she's like, "What about if I did like Midnight Blues by Gary Moore?" And I'm like, "Man, that's probably one of the slowest songs out there. At least like, Parisian Walkways or something that's like, got those big build-ups and stuff." And I think it was more like she knew she could play it straight away, so she's like, "Sign me up. Oh, I can play it now, so I'll just jump up straight away," sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, and then like Taj is really firm. He's like, "Well, Dylan's committed and Dylan's got this, and Dylan's worked with me for 2 tours, and like this is his spot, and like maybe if you work on this song over the next couple of weeks and we rehearse it a few times with the bands at soundcheck, and then those moments come up, I would love to have you on stage." But it's like, he worked for it, and he also makes her work for it too. It's not going to be given to her, and I really like that. I think it's cool that he is very particular on the way that he likes certain tone and certain things. And like, he's so comfortable with Dylan knowing like he only has to turn around and give him the nod, and he knows that it's bring it down, or it's a like up nod, and it's like, all right, bring it up. We're going to send it. So it's like he's built that, and that's his comfort. That's his blanket. Like that's his safe spot. So just throwing her in because she wants it, and it's something that she wants, then I'm glad that he's firm, because like that's only going to give him longevity to be comfortable to say no to people. If you can say no to his sister, like we spoke about before, if I can say it sucks when you played bad, then he has to be able to give it as much as he has to take it.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's cool. But yeah, I definitely think at some stage, man, they're gonna get at it. They're gonna do some cool stuff, and I think she wants to like play the drums on some of like maybe one or two of his tracks on this album. Right. And I think that's something that will definitely, because she's capable of that stuff already. She can play all that bluesy stuff. The problem is slowing her down. I think she wants to like, you know, all of a sudden.
I could see a moment. I could see a moment where he brings his sister out on stage. She starts playing the song, and then she goes into, you know, like the overzealous spouse or sibling that just cracks into a drum solo. And Taj just kind of,
are you done yet?
Shaking his head, and then she's
sit on
like,
the corner of the stage until she's finished.
Go like that, and then she goes, you know, and it's fine. It goes back, and then people go crazy, and then she's like, "This is why I don't have my sister play," you know, or something. And
but
boom.
I think over the next probably, like, Giselle's just turned 13, Taj is nearly 15. I mean, 18 months or 19 months or something between them. But like we spoke about, Taj is heaps more mature for his age. Like even Taj at just turned 13, like he'd already been on stage with some of the biggest names on the planet.
Right.
And he really, really loved it.
Right.
So
right.
he already knew who he was at a young age, where Giselle's still like dealing with being a young girl. And I think that comes with a lot more than being a young boy. I think the pressure of makeup and other young girls' opinions and things like that, I think that generically comes with a whole different thing.
Notice how Dad whispered that a little bit. See how Dad brought that down?
He did too.
Yeah, just don't.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject for me. Especially the makeup thing. She comes out and she's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Nope." She's like, "Oh, what do you mean?"
Nope.
Mum said I could. And I'm like, "Really? Did she?" And then Cass yells out from behind the bus. She's like, "I did not. I told you to ask your father." Like,
yeah,
you know?
don't they know that ask your father means no?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Ask your father means no.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Growing up, that's all it was.
Like
because my mother used to say, "Hey, can I go to? Yeah, go ask your father."
Yeah,
never
ask
mind.
your
Never. My response was, never mind.
Yeah,
because you're interrupting him for something and be like, "What are you? Get out of my face!" Yeah.
But it's super rewarding, man. Like they're both very different, and I actually really enjoy how different they are, and I really enjoy what each kid brings to my life. Like Giselle would be the funny, like she hijacked his 1 million+ follower Facebook page a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no.
She put his hat on, pulled her hair down and sort of twisted him up with the makeup and that. She drew, like, he's got a little tiny, like, stubbly mustache growing in. So, like, she got the eyeliner and dotted all the little things and, like, pretended she had a mustache.
Oh, my
She
God.
grabbed his 70 Strat out of the trailer. She sat it down. Then she, like, went on his Facebook page and she's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Taj Farrant. You might remember me from, like, Ellen and, like, AGT and that. Like, you know, like," and just completely hijacked his page. Then she's like, "Yeah, like, my sister's pretty good. Maybe go over and give her a follow," and, like, GiselleFarrant.com, like, and gave herself a shout out and that. Like, it was the funniest thing, bro. It had like a couple of 100,000 views on his page, and it had like 1,100 or 1,200 comments. But like, she's my anything can happen at any moment, vivacious, but she's a cuddler. She's very warm. Like, she wants to be with mum and dad. And she's still at that age. I think that may or may not, but I think that's her personality. She wants to be like close to people, but she's really like out there. I could see her doing like Hannah Montana-y type, Nickelodeon, her own show type comedy, and like she's that kid, man. She's so out there, but yet still really reserved in her own right. Like she gets around people that she hasn't met, and she's just like, oh, thank you so much, nice to meet you, and she's very like quiet. But then Taj is just like this plain level, and I was like, he's like my happy place. I watch a few things go on during the day, and like you said, he's like a doddery old little man, and it's interesting to watch how his day progresses. Like yesterday it was like straight after the show, this morning, straight after the show, and I'm like, all right, we've got to get up, we've got this on, you got to interview. And it was like, I think it was like 10:30 or something today, sleep in, he didn't finish till midnight or whatever it was. And it was like watching a 65-year-old, 75-year-old man get out of bed, and he like goes over and makes himself an English breakfast Lipton tea. You know what I mean? Like things like that, where Giselle's like ripping into the like what some chocolate cereal, and she's got Vegemite muffins going, and she's got a blender going at like 7:30 this morning, making herself a smoothie and that, and like they're just so different. And I love the journey. Yeah,
he's taking. Like, gotta have my fiber.
Oh yeah, like it's like anything short of Taj having like a pill case with vitamins in it. Taj is 75 every day of the week. Like, like he's just, and it's so funny. He gets up and like he goes, "Oh, mum, can you make me a tea?" And like Cass is like real mum, like she's the epitome of mum in a sense. Okay. Like Taj wants a coffee, or Taj wants, Taj just asked for a coffee, hun. I'll be back in a second. I'm like, yeah, but I asked for one an hour ago.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. She's like,
guess what?
Well, Taj is, all right, just give me a second. Zell wants me to make some pancakes. So she's in the kitchen, and like she's on the phone to Reliant Talent Agency at the same time. Taj has been offered 9 festivals. She's got the contracts up on the fridge, and she's going like this, and she's, all right, yep. And she's got the pan going, and, but it's just, I think this is our life, and it's
throws
really,
you a Pop-Tart.
Really rewarding.
Yep.
And,
here's a Pop-Tart, instant coffee.
Here, eat that, drink that.
Yeah, but like she will like sit there and cook a full roast dinner, and then have stuff prepared for breakfast the next morning, on top of on the phone to Reliant Talent Agency or Live Nation, or like these massive people that like Taj has got to deal with, and she does all of the contracts and does all of the behind the scenes stuff of like the logistics and the legal stuff, and the passport renewals and visas, and like she's buried in paperwork, and I look over at her and I'm like,
I guess I'll get my own coffee.
Yeah, like do you know what I mean? Like it's just like, how do you even get through a day? Right. Like Taj brought her up at the show actually last night, and he was basically like, oh yeah, everyone gives my dad and everyone so much credit, or like mum and dad, for like how much goes on behind the scenes, but like mum is just such that mum's the goat here. Like mum is it. Like, without her doing what she does, this doesn't happen. I can't do this on my own.
Right.
Physically impossible. I don't care who you are, how good you are at it, how many people you've managed. Children and animals are the 2 hardest things to manage.
Yes.
Yep. You're never going to know whether they're on a good day or a bad day, or a, happy or a sad mood, or spontaneously feel like yelling in the middle of an interview, and you really don't want them to conduct themselves like that. You have no say. So you have to have an abundance of patience, and Cass is the most patient. I mean, she married me, so that tells you a lot. you got to have patience, and like without that, man, she's a huge reason why she's the reason why the kids are the way they are in regards to their attitudes and the way that they conduct themselves. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. Like that sort of stuff. I'm a bit more like, I'm super respectful too, but we just grew up hella different. I got a lot more street in me than my wife ever has been around. Like we're in a place today, and she's like, oh, do you want to stop and have a cigarette? And I'm like, hell no.
Keep
Keeps
going.
Are going. We ain't stopping here. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, dude, we're not stopping here. Just smile and wave as you drive out.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because we stopped to ship out a whole heap of Taj's merchandise. Like he sold Bad Trip, new CDs and all that. So I think he sold like 250 copies, and they're all numbered. Like first edition, I think they call them, like that sort of thing.
Sure. First run, yeah.
Everyone that ordered them online, and then he signed them all. So they done all that. But we went to the post office to ship them all out today, and she's like, "Oh, this is a cute little place." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "A weird place to have a post office." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then she's like, got out the front. She goes, "Oh, should we just have a quick cigarette before we leave?" And I'm like, "No, we'll have one when we get back to the RV park."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "It's time to go," you know. And that's what I mean about, like, you know, that's what I bring to the table. I've lived a little, and I've been around a few things, and I know that certain places you don't stop.
Right.
Certain places you could stop if you really want the headache.
Right.
If you want to test if you want to test your gangster or something like that, maybe pull up and have a go. But that's not what this is about.
Nope.
Right.
Husband and wife going to the post office, have your cigarette 20 minutes from. 15 minutes from now, we'll go back and everyone's safe. But yeah, I think that's I guess the naiveness of what I mean. Like, Cass is just such a kind, beautiful person, and we're so different that, like, that's why Giselle's got my backbone, and she's real feisty, and, you know, her and Taj get at it like siblings do, and I'm like, man, you better ease up, bro. She's gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to play guitar tonight with a broken finger.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. She's like, she's my wild child. But Taj is the spit out of Cass's mouth. Absolute resemblance of his mother. Looks like me, you know, dreadlocks and the sort of, you know,
but
got all
like
that
her.
going on. But he just is this absolute resemblance of that woman. And he's just really, you know, he's the one that's making Giselle breakfast. She's like, get up, you pussy, make me some pancakes. Like, you know, and he's like, you know, or if we go somewhere, like now he's at a point where he's like, always says to Cass, "Oh, you know, is Giselle okay? Has she got this?" Like, as he's becoming more successful, he's like really making sure that she's got what she wants. Like when we got this new bus, one of the guidelines and stipulations of getting the bus that we chose was it had to have 2 bathrooms because Giselle's becoming a young lady and she needs her own bathroom, Dad.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, why do you even care about stuff like that? And he's like, yeah, because, like, you know, like her and Mum need like a nice place, and Mum doesn't want to have to be like cleaning floors, so make sure it's like the floors are heaps easy to clean, or it's got like a mad vacuum system in it and that. I'm like, you're worried about a vacuum system and an extra bathroom for your sister. Most kids at your age that are looking at buying a bus, you're worried about getting the Prevost with the coolest lighting system in it, the biggest flat screens. Like,
right.
But that's what I mean about he's just an old man. Like, he does old man shit. Anything apart from wearing like an old knitted vest and like a pair of reading glasses, you would
smoking
swear
a pipe on the porch in his rocking chair.
Bro, like,
I'm gonna have the arthritis by the time I'm 16. I can feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, the way he plays, that's something we actually really worry about. We get him into the chiropractor quite often as we can, especially on tour. It's difficult, to schedule ahead. Sometimes we can try and get somebody, if we're going into like LA, we know people and we're like, bang, we'll be there on this date to this date, we're staying at this place or whatever, and they like, we've got them on cycle, but like only like sort of like Florida, LA, Texas, Ohio. We've got like a couple little hot spots where we've got friends now since we've been here,
right?
But we get him in all the time as best we can, because that's something we actually really worry about, that he plays so much that he's going to end up with like
carpal tunnel,
hands.
Yeah.
But not even so much that. I worry that he's like holding like a Les Paul that's 8 pound or something like that, or whatever pounds they are. That like he's going to end up like hunched over and sore. He gets like sore abdominal area from sort of like pulling himself up and stuff like that. But
time for a lighter guitar.
He's got like a back roller, like one of those ones that you sort of lay on, and he uses that most days. And Cass has like one of those massage machine things that like it's got all the different attachments on it. And you can go through like the spine, and you can do like the lumbar area with all these different things. So like, yeah, but that's the old man. He goes into Walmart, and most people get excited about being able to afford something, and he comes out with a back roller and a massage gun. So it's like, you know.
Orthopedic sneakers.
Well,
Yeah, he's got himself a pair of Crosby slippers or some Uggs, you know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
right. There's a he should maybe look into there's a guitar strap that's called a zero gravity.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah, it's like a slinky one.
No, it's just a
No?
regular guitar strap. It goes over your shoulder like you normally would play, but
Yeah.
they call it a zero gravity, and it's got cushions in it. And it takes the weight of the guitar
It disperses it.
and
Yeah.
disperses it.
Well, you remember when you used to go on the weekends with your grandparents? They used to take you for ice cream, and they used to have the seatbelt with the lamb's wool sheep cover
Yes.
Yeah.
over the end of their thing.
Mhm.
Taj has got those built into his guitar straps.
Okay.
For comfort. Yeah.
For comfort.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. But on the
It's
zero,
actually hilarious.
but the zero gravity
Yes.
disperses the guitar's weight. So
Yeah,
it
evenly,
feels
yeah.
so
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
actually a
feel like
good
you're
idea.
wearing it. Yeah.
Have him check
well,
those
any
out.
other parents out there that are watching, that's a great idea. If you got a young kid, man, like zero gravity, we'll have a look at them definitely. And
Yeah,
that's
take
I guess what's good about this industry and doing things like this tonight is that you meet people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I'm learning on this journey. There's no rule book for what I'm doing.
Correct.
There's no information to go and look at. Yeah, there's other people that have done it before me, but you and I both know that the music industry is a very coveted thing. And if anyone has a secret, they ain't sharing it with you.
No. No.
And if they've got a black book, they're not letting you have a look inside.
No.
Right.
So it's like you just got to learn as you go, and sometimes you make some really bad choices. But just know that like it actually is, it sucks in that moment, but it does get a lot easier. Like it does get a lot easier the more you start dealing with people and you whittle out the dead wood, and you'd be like, all right, well, that person's toxic. They can't be around. That person has to do that. That person was really good. Let's see if we can try and work with them a little bit more. And then you end up with a whole heap of people that you like to work with and that are really honest,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got Taj's best interest at heart. And that's slowly is becoming our team. And is it perfect? Far from. I think it's probably going to be a very long way away before you have what you would call like the Super Bowl team over here. But we've definitely got a great starting lineup, that's for sure.
That's awesome. We're
And you know, he may even get an endorsement out of the zero gravity thing. You never know.
Oh, well, yeah,
Honestly,
yeah, cool.
I mean, if he likes it,
Yeah.
you know, then
That's
I mean,
actually, like, I mean, my mind wasn't on it that night, but hey, zero gravity. Come and talk to Dad. We'll sort it out.
yeah.
yeah. And
see
make
what
sure you get
yeah,
it.
I think it's all about the
get an extra
product.
one.
Like, you know, Taj uses Friedman amps. Like, Dave Friedman is
Right.
probably one of the best, if not the best behind Dumble.
Exactly.
Like, of all time.
Mhm.
And he's had Taj since he was 9.
Okay.
9 or 10?
Okay.
9. I'm going to go with 9.
All right.
Same year Gibson. Yes, 9. And Dave just builds him the coolest stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean the coolest stuff. And it's like, could Taj use Marshall or Fender amps, or
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
if Taj wanted to be strictly Stevie Ray, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, the option's not a Friedman. That's for
No.
sure.
Right.
no.
But what Dave built for Taj
Yep.
is he built Taj an amp that's for Taj.
Exactly.
Like, it even says on the back of it, to Taj, Dave Friedman.
Dave
like,
Friedman,
all signed
right.
on the back of it. Like, you
Yep.
know what I mean?
You
Like,
don't-
and now he's got a whole trailer full of them. Like,
You don't
hey,
have
there's-
one of
there's-
those.
I don't have one of those.
I was
no.
just curious.
No.
No.
I
with
don't.
Friedman.
No, he doesn't have Friedman.
Man, Dave, honestly, man, like, I can't speak any more highly of that crew. Like, Friedman, like Elixir Strings, they've had Taj from the same year, like that same what
Okay.
I'd call like the starting lineup of 8.
Yeah.
We had Shaw microphones, Elixir Strings, QSC. They sent Taj like mixers and PA systems for Australia so he could busk and like all sorts of things. Like, you know, at that early stages.
Sure.
Man, just like, yeah, and it's all stuff he truly believes in, and that's basically my point. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the zero gravity thing, we were sort of touching on that, but that's where the Friedman it come up, because like he plays what he loves.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't play what other people love.
Right.
He plays what he genuinely believes in. He's been playing like these new amps by Rick, a guy that makes Wizard amps. He worked with Malcolm and Angus Young, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge part of Taj's story, as you guys know. So
Right,
yeah.
Taj has been testing a whole lot of those at the moment. And like sometimes he's like, "Oh man, did you hear that in the room? It was perfect." And it's like the maddest tone. And then like the next day he goes and does a show and he pulls the Freeman out. Like, and then the next day he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna try the Wizard again." Then he'll do another couple of shows of the Wizard, and then he's like, you see the Freedman come out of the trailer again. It's like, I don't know. He likes what he likes. But I think both brands are really good to him. They're both amazing amps. They're both great, high quality boutique amps that are all hand built with love. No motherboard stuff. It's all point to point hand wired, like just beautiful craftsmanship. And I think they all do different things now. I think like we talked about with the guitars, like certain amps do certain things. So yeah, he's just going to keep doing his thing, but he'll always have a great bond with Dave. He'll always have a great friendship with Dave. I mean, look in the history, Dave's never had any other child on the roster. That's for sure.
Exactly. Who's going to give him that longevity?
Yeah, and I'm really grateful to Dave for that, because like he doesn't have to work with Taj, man. Like he's got a million people he's working with, and like you said, line up from here to California, to how many people want Dave to build a rig, and so like as a parent, man, I can't be more grateful for those people being part of this journey with us. And I think our trophy as parents is that they believe in him. Like they believe that this is something. It's not a gimmick that he's 14 or that he's 12. Like he's badass. So it's like, that's cool. Like that's what's really rewarding for us as parents. They're our little like, feather in your cap type moments that we get, those people that stand there in front of him and say, "Man, like you got a great future. Just keep doing what you're doing, and can't wait to see where it takes you," and that sort of stuff. So we feel like then we're on the right path.
That's awesome. I got to tell you, Brandin, you're an inspiration to parents. You're an inspiration to anybody that's coaxing or coaching or just leading on some younger people that are trying to do this business. The job that you and your wife are doing for anybody, both your daughter and your son, I think it's admirable, and it's something to really look up to.
Yes,
thank you. I appreciate that.
And we can't wait to see
exactly
how this works with you guys. I mean, as you know, in the crazy world of social media, you're as good as your last guest or your last gig or your last video. And we do this because we love the industry. We've been musicians our whole lives. It's this kind of grew out of the pandemic and said, well, what can we do to stay creative? And next thing you know,
we started this.
It started blowing up into
this. Best thing
this.
that ever happened to Taj.
Yeah.
Pandemic was the best thing that ever happened to Taj. He done the three things he loves the most. Gets to hang out with nobody apart from himself. His guitar, and he got to play as many hours a day as he liked.
Right. So
like he become an absolute monster in 18 months, getting to play as many hours a day as he did, and not having the distractions of like Australia was in complete lockdown. And I mean, I don't know whether you have seen, Australia probably was in one of the worst of all of the mandated mask wearing, lockdown, don't leave your house for months and months on end type stuff. Like we were in the thick of it. So you just had to make the most of what we had. And it's funny that you guys said that the pandemic was one of your inspirational moments to do what you do. And I guess I wouldn't be here today had I guess Taj not played like he did and got to the level that he's at, and you guys would not have built the show for me to be here. So
correct.
Pivotal moments.
We like to look at the people who've been on the show as our
new
family members, so as it comes through, and anything that you have to promote Taj or your daughter, or even who knows where paths might lead. Your daughter might convince you to come back and start playing and 5-finger death punch style band, and
I get that a lot. Everyone goes to me, when are you going to get up on stage with the kids? And it's just not. This is just not what this is about.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this might sound a bit greedy, but that's my moment with my kids. Yeah. We share so much of our life, man. We give, like, it's not just Taj anymore. It's like the Farrants have become a thing, and it's hard to explain. Like we go to the shows and like people ask me and Cass for photos, and we're like, why? We're no one, man. Like we're just no one. Like, you know what I mean? But like they're just emotionally in front of you, and they're like, please, Mr. Farrant, may I have a photo? Like, oh my god, you know, and it's just like I do it, like, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really happy to do it for Taj and Giselle, you know, but I don't get it. I don't understand it, you know.
Well, just like anybody else who sometimes doesn't understand, you know, we've had people on the show, and they're like, "Why do you want to talk to me?"
Right.
The music business is comprised of so much that moves behind the scenes that the 4 or 5 people on stage become the smallest part if you know the production of it.
Yeah.
You know, the tour manager, the lighting guys, the
sound guy.
Sound
I can tell
guy.
you, Taylor Swift ain't touring Australia right now with 15 people. Let's be honest.
Right.
You know, she ain't rolling around with mum and dad and, you know, one production person and a sound guy in a bus. Like,
right.
A lot goes into it. You
Exactly.
know, a lot goes into each level, and I think that's what Cass and I are most nervous for. That at the moment we've kind of just got our team to this level, but we can't predict when Taj takes that next step, and then we have to try and catch up. So every time he starts climbing the staircase, there's new problems and new issues and new goals and new guidelines and certain things that have to be put in place so that he is as comfortable as he was at this level.
Yep.
And then we feel like we're just starting to get ahead of ourselves, and then he elevates himself, and then we're like, all right, we're back to square one. We're learning everything again this month. Yeah. Everything's new. So, yeah, it's, hey, it is what it is.
Surround yourself with good people, and, you know, you learn as you learn. But
yes, you do.
Don't sell yourself short and wonder why you are as just important to that camp as we call it, the camp.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Like, I really do. Like, I get it. And I'm not naive to think, like, I'm not naive at all to think, like, why people, I mean, like, I guess, like, I was a huge Michael Jackson fan growing up. And I used to love, I think, the entertainment side and the production of, like, how extravagant everything was and the mystique of, like, the glove. And, like, I was a young, impressionable kid. I used to love all of the hype and all that. But, like, you know, I think that man would have had to have spent many an hour, Michael's dad and all that. So I think he would have had to have spent many an hour like I have, helping his family through a journey, whether it's very different to mine or not. Like, that's not kind of where I'm getting at. I'm just getting at, like, he definitely had to do something for that to be what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you just, if I ever got to meet somebody and pick brains of, like, having somebody from such a young age, there would be, you know, like the Jonas Brothers, like, dad, like, they're probably a good, like, Hanson. Like, I got to meet Hanson's parents, and I like, we went to their show, and I think that's what I was sort of getting at. Like, you know, you got those young kid talents, like Joe Jackson had his kids, and all of the other parents that are out there now that are doing theirs. Like, it's interesting to see their story and how, whether it was smoother than ours or whether ours was smoother than theirs, you know, like, everyone's on just such a different journey.
That's awesome.
Yep.
But very similar in a way. Like, we're all doing the same thing. We're all building the bricks to get to an end result, but everyone's journey to get there is different. Some brick walls go up quicker than others, and some are still waiting for pallets of bricks to arrive.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
You know, he mentioned
some are on back order.
Meeting parents and stuff.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned meeting parents and whatnot, but since you've been on this journey, who have you met through this journey that you were excited to meet? Like, you thought, oh God, I'll never. You kind of fanboyed out a little bit.
That.
Yeah.
Carlos was cool, bro. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah.
Carlos Santana, the advice and the personal videos I have, I got to live that moment. I didn't have to try and film or any of that. I had, like, Mel and everyone else around me at that time letting me absorb that moment with my son. The advice that he gave me about where Taj's career could potentially go. Like Taj was 10 at the time, and he played with him at the House of Blues in Vegas, because that's what you do at 10. That's just
sure.
We
standard.
Please,
yeah, we played in a Blue House.
Yeah.
House of the Blue House down the road.
House, but it wasn't the House of Blues.
Yeah, no, the Blue House in the garage. Yeah,
the Blue Garage down the road.
Yeah.
I'd say that was like my fanboy-ish moment.
Okay.
Not huge with that. I really believe everyone is equal, and the difference between like what Carlos does and what I did for a living is that his was in the public eye. I still think we all eat the same and we all come in and go out the same. And
for sure.
I grew up watching him, and it was like I was standing there. I was like, wow, like this is cool.
Yeah.
But then people like
right.
Rob Thomas, spending a fair bit of time with Rob Thomas, he's just a really, really genuine guy, like super genuine. Same thing, just what's best for Taj, and gave me a few pointers on things to look out for and what not to look out for, and don't waste your energy on that, and that's okay. And I think the most coolest moment was like meeting Santana and getting to be part of something so special that'll go down in history.
Sure.
Of like that video's like the Santana video that Taj has done's had like 25 million views or something. Like it's had a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah.
And that's just on Facebook. I always just use Facebook because that seems to be like the biggest thing for Taj. Like I don't know why. It's like it is what it is. But yeah, like lots of different platforms, couple of million views on each. But I think they're probably like my two pivotal moments. Probably the Santana and the Rob Thomas, because they both brought something so different. Taj never wanted to sing before Rob Thomas.
Right.
Oh, okay.
All. So like if you look at the videos and the way that they rolled out, Taj was with Santana and he was just a badass little guitar player.
Right.
And then he was like, I'm never going to sing. And then he heard Rob Thomas for 3 or 4 dates when he toured Australia, and Taj got to go on the journey with him and play smooth at
cool.
in front of 30,000 people. Like, Taj was like, they liked my guitar, but they're still cheering just as loud when he's singing and hitting certain notes. So
Correct.
all of a sudden it's like, it doesn't mean because I'm a guitar player that that's the only person that gets loved like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that was a real big moment for Taj. And then all of a sudden he become a singer. Or like an artist in general. Told ya, just does what it's want. Here it is. In all its glory. Just walks into the bus.
Oh, there she goes.
Yeah.
Oh, but now we got the whole crew now.
Oh yeah, like we've pulled into a friend's. They own an RV park in Tulsa. We done canes, and like when you guys were just talking then, and I was sort of like trying to get it out, I caught her out of the corner of my eye, and I was just about to I was trying to politely finish that, but I can't just go stop. Like then you guys are like, what's going like, and I just knew she just rolled through. She's Giselle Farrant. Ladies and gentlemen.
And here she comes again.
And it's back.
With a Nirvana shirt on.
I saw that.
With a Nirvana shirt. So yeah.
The boys said they're very proud of your Nirvana shirt. They're really happy.
Yeah.
Not really.
All right, off you go. Thank you for coming in.
Off you go.
But yeah, so this is the life on the road, boys. Life
Awesome.
on the road. You never know what's going to happen, when it happens, how it goes. But man, you get to go and see some cool stuff.
Yeah,
you
Niagara
do.
Falls. Been to the last couple of months we done Niagara Falls. We went to Grand Canyon.
Couldn't
Yosemite,
stop.
Couldn't stop in
You know what I mean?
Syracuse.
Stop here and say hi.
Oh man, I thought we were family.
Yeah. I think that was actually pre-NAM. It was September, October, November last year was that run from LA when we moved, and then ended up to New York, and then we went back through Texas to get back to NAM in late January. So, but yeah, I think you just never know where you're going to be, and like I said, things don't matter.
Yep.
Experiences do, and we're on the most amazing journey as a family, but I'm really excited for Taj. And like I said, Giselle does have an amazing future. Taj has the potential to be a generational player, though.
Right.
Yeah.
He has the potential to be one of the greats.
Yep.
And influence a lot of young kids in his generation moving forward. His goal at the moment is very similar to Bonamassa's, is how do we make young kids my age that are 14 love the blues and like blues rock again.
Yeah.
Like how do I bring that back? How long's a piece of string? Nobody knows.
Yep.
Will or won't it happen? I mean, hey, bell-bottom jeans came back multiple times, so anything's possible.
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's his main focus, right? Yeah. At this very moment in his career, he wants to try and figure out how he could influence other kids his age to bring back some really cool genre of music and compete at a high level. Like, how do you compete? When was the last time that a blues song took out the top 40 Billboard charts and won a Grammy for all genres? Or
I'd have to look back.
Best. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like,
I do.
Yeah.
It's been so long. So how do we as an industry and people that love this genre, how do we bring it back to the forefront? Like, who's going to do that?
Right.
Who will be that Elvis Presley or that, I don't know, who's going to be that Michael Jackson, or who's going to be that artist, that Eddie Van Halen? Who's going to be that artist that demographically changes everything?
You've got a good shot there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's going to do his best. Whether it happens or not, I really don't think he cares. But he's definitely going to give it his best shot. And I think it'd be really cool for him to
do it on
at
this
least
show.
Give it a go.
Yeah. I think it's very important that it comes from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, Bonamassa's from this area. And I think if we're gonna restart the fire, it should be from Central New York.
Oh, man. Yeah. And, like, I love what Joe's done. Like, he's put in place, like, the keeping the blues alive, like, project, in a sense, if that's the word you would use. I love that because that's helped start a lot of young kids like Toby Lee from England, Taj, even as far back as people like Eric Steckles, and I mean, not that he's old, but Eric, probably my age, I think. But
Ancient.
Monster player, like Eric Steckles, bro. Like, I'm all about it. Can't wait to. That's actually someone I'm excited to meet. He's very big on inventing something new. So his is like a metals blues. Like, does that make sense? He's got like a bit of a metally blue, like real gritty, but super bluesy still. It's like, I love that. It's something different. He's trying to reinvent something or like try something new, and it's working, man. He's a crazy talented artist. But then you got players like Joe Bonamassa and Jared James Nichols. Love his work, like monster player as well. And they all bring something so different, like completely different, but it's all based around the blues.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I love about Joe. Joe has really inspired like the Eric Steckles generation, and then like a couple of years later you've got like the Jared James Nichols, then you've got like the Toby Lee, which is around year 20, and then you got Taj at 14. So you're looking at the ladder, but it's all stemmed from like Joe really kicking it in the guts again, because post like BB King,
I was just going to say the same thing.
Slowed up. It slowed up.
It was
again.
empty. Yeah.
And then we had Stevie Ray, and then it was like, here's a taste. Well, we're taking him real quick, and kind of got like enough to wet your lips, and you're like, oh, this is what it's all about. And then it just like that. Obviously, it was a sad story, and and then Gary Moore died at such a young age.
I think
that void's missing. That void, and collectively a group of young kids and young men and early adults, they're going to hopefully be able to do some, great writing and inspire the next generation of guitar players,
I think the one that after you said, there was really nobody after Stevie Ray Vaughan, and there wasn't. But for me, I found, I think right after, I shouldn't say right after, probably a few years later, was Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Kenny's a rocket.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Kenny's a rocket, bro. Like,
And that-
oh man.
and that was another one. Who kind of, like you
I
said,
apologize actually for not saying Kenny, because like sometimes, like you try to show love,
Yeah.
and music's subjective, as you know. Like,
Yeah,
who's my
exactly.
favorite? It's not your favorite.
Right.
But yeah, big love to Kenny, man. Kenny and Johnny Lang, those sorts
Yes.
of guys also
Mm-hmm.
have done an amazing job keeping it alive and doing their part. Like, Kenny's out there still killing it now, selling out 5,000 seaters every couple of days. God bless him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're the people that I see Taj going down that same road. But with Taj specifically, doesn't have he's a blues rock player,
Yes.
but Taj can play anything. If you go back through Taj's videos, he can play from like Pink Floyd to AC/DC to
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen so like he's not really pigeonholed as Stevie was very good at what Stevie did.
Yes.
And like Kenny Wayne sat in that same, not the same as Stevie, but in that very similar wheelhouse.
Yes.
Where like I think what I mean about Taj, like not reinventing the wheel, but like being inspirational, is like Taj's new song, Bad Trip, wasn't specifically blues. It had like a bit of a cross genre, but it still went number one on the blues charts.
Exactly.
So it's like, he's trying, and that's sort of like what you got to be proud of him for that. He's trying. Could Taj just go right now and write a Stevie Ray album and it be successful? I think everyone here knows exactly what would happen. Every one of those fans would be like, oh, it's all happening again. That's not what this is about. He's got to really figure this out like on his own.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to write some terrible things and he's going to write some really cool things, but then he'll write some great things.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's not my job. It's not my job to tell him how to do that. He is the only one that has the keys to that door. Yeah. And when he unlocks it, that's his own journey that he'll go down. I'm excited for him though, man. Like I'm hella excited because
you can tell.
Like, imagine being 14, boys. Like, you think about, like, let's stop for a second. Let's be 14-year-old us again in this moment. Like he's doing it, man. Like, he's out there actually doing it. And I think about what I was doing. Like, half of the time I was trying to think, like, my wife and I met at 14 years old. Like, I was chasing tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to the beach.
Yep.
And
that's it.
I was skipping school so I could go to the beach.
And chase tail.
And
then when I got tail, I didn't want to go to school because tail was more fun than going to the beach or school.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's like, but like, I think just like you think about what we did, and like half the time we were probably still eating worms out of the dirt and stuff at like 10, 11, 12 years old. And this kid's on stage with Santana. Like, it's just a really exciting time in music, especially being like mid 2000s, like 2022 sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think the way that we were talking about earlier with like short form content being consumed by the younger generation. So that's something that we're just starting to touch on now, knowing that that's exactly what they want. Like, we can put a 5-minute solo or 5-minute video of him playing something like Jeff Healey, Confidence Man, or one of those old school swaggery cool tracks, and we know that all the oldies are going to get on there and they're going to love it, and they're going to, oh, he's so cute, and oh my god, he's so good for his age, and like, we've all read a billion of those comments, and I'm excited for that. That's not where I'm getting at, but like, the short form content thing is exciting me because it's like, he posted like a snippet of him just shredding, and then now we're getting a lot of young kids following him on TikTok. So he had like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 TikTok people a while, or maybe like 6 months ago. Now he's got like 120 or something like that. About 120,000 or something he's hit now, and it's like, we're seeing the age shift. It's not just like 35 and over. He's starting to get like sub 21 years old, and we're getting like, the younger females as well starting to message, and I'm just like, I can't answer that. That's for you, bud. That's not appropriate for me to read today. That's for you.
Yep.
Thank you so much, though. I don't know what else to say. I'm like, your mother can deal with TikTok. That's not
There you
my
go.
thing. Just the younger generation, and I guess that's something like I haven't ever had to deal with that. All Taj's fan base is a lot older.
Yeah.
So for me to like starting to get like young girls like start to message him on his pages and stuff now, like that's even new because like I'll be scrolling through and like as you know that's one of the largest forms of communication for like bookings even like hi, I'm such and such from here and how do I get hold of the booking or what's the best email to contact to book Taj for this festival, and it's like blue tick approved and it's got the Lollapalooza, let's just use that, right? They reach out and it's like, this is where I do business. This is all I've done business here, like on the phone. And then like, I've just noticed like the 14 coming into 15, things are shifting and he's getting a younger female fan base as well. And that's very new to me. And I just, like at the moment, I just like, I stay my ass away from that shit.
Yeah.
I just let Cass do all that stuff now, and I just focus on all of the like getting the posts together and that. But I think, but he's not really interested in it. Like he's not at that age yet. He does like he talks to young girls, and he's at that like awkward, weird age of like.
Listen,
when you say
he may like 70-year-old women. You don't know. I mean, they've got the same routine.
Well, they may be too young to him. Like being 75 like he is, he might not like the younger crowd. You know, what I mean?
Dad, I want to move
find
to
himself
Florida.
A real nice 60-year-old English woman. Maybe get himself a snowbird down in Florida where he can drink tea with him.
I mean, listen, you said a minute ago that him girls contacting him is kind of new for you, but as a father of 3 girls, wait till they start messaging her.
Yeah.
Then let me know how you feel.
That's going to be a whole different thing. We're going to have a different conversation when Giselle starts getting that.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, can we set that interview now?
I know, right?
Just start off. So
let's go.
What's happened since the last time we talked? You'd be like, oh, I'm hella pissed. I'll tell you that much.
You're
like,
oh man, as you can see, and she's so Giselle lives in her own bubble.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I say all the time. And that's what I meant by, like, she's, like, the Joker. And, like, she makes me really happy because, like, most parents would have got mad that they're in the middle of a podcast and the kid's just walking
rumbles through.
Whatever. It's
happens
like
all the time for us.
And stuff.
It happened
but
with
it's like
Marco Mendoza in the middle. I mean, just the killer bass player, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hang on, hey, okay, see you, hon.
All right, we'll see you later."
Yeah. Or whose dog jumped up? Jason Bittner's cat. I think jumped on his lap. I mean, that's what we want. We want that
but
part
it's
of
like,
the show.
It's the perfect example of like showing how real this is. Like, we are just such normal people, man.
Yep.
You can have as much publicity around you as you like, but at the end of the day, we all get our food from the same stores.
Yeah.
We all eat with our loved ones.
Yeah.
Most nights.
Yeah.
Nothing's different. The only difference is like, do you pick this up and make beautiful sounds through it for a living, or do you do IT and you work at a desk that nobody knows who you are, but you're still doing important things? There's probably many adult and children probably out there that are like graphic designers working on video games that are like multi-millionaires and successful and all these things, but because it's not televised and it's not put all over social media, that it's like they're not
exactly
somebody,
right,
in a sense. And I think that's what confuses us as a family, because we're just normal. I know it sounds boring. It probably sounds boring, but we're just
not at all.
We're normal people, man. It's just, I think the people that really get caught up in this world of like, oh, like I do this and I do that, and that sort of stuff. You're like, okay, cool, mate. Like, I met a few people like on my journey, told me who they've played with, and oh, you need to check this guy out. And, oh, like, Taj is good, but this guy, like, you get a lot of that sort of stuff, and you're just like, all right, man, no worries. Like,
see ya.
Thanks.
I don't think you realize that. Yeah, I don't think you realize that. Like, we're just normal people, bro. I'm not trying to impress anyone.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Like, it's just, we're just here giving it our best. And the best part about this is that, like, we got people that have just had like we had a lady come to the show in Boca Raton, and she had just finished a massive round of chemotherapy. She had no hair. She had a bandana on. One of Taj's fans paid to fly her from, I'd be guessing, but like it was a few hour flight. So maybe like up towards like Wisconsin, or it was maybe somewhere like that, down to Florida. This gentleman knew that like she was sick and that she really wanted to meet Taj, and she really, so like he reached out to me, and like he paid to fly her down, knowing that like that was something that she really, really wanted. And that's what I love about what we do. Like this lady's going through one of the hardest times in her life. Like the hardest time that you'll ever go through in your own life is the end of it.
Yeah.
Whether it's at 20 or whether it's at 100, nobody knows. But like the community that this child, and that's what I'm going to use the word child still at this stage, Taj, because he was 8, 9, as you guys said when you started following.
Right.
The community that this child has built, and the kindness that has come from people doing good to each other out of a young boy posting a video or multiple videos, man, you can't beat that. There's no amount of money in the world that is worth what like we're witnessing at the moment with our fans, and they're turning up religiously. You got some people that are like in like literally in wheelchairs last night that I know they live in the top side of Indiana, like Red Key, like right up that way, and completely disabled, drives a F-250 with a like the ball on the steering wheel, and the driving things are here, and drove 10 hours or something like that, 9 hours to come to the show last night. Like that's what this is about.
Yeah.
That person that's disabled, or that person that's going through cancer, or that person that's going through a hard time in their life, they're not staying at home feeling sorry for himself or whatever. This young boy has got multiple people last night out of their lounge room, instead of watching The Price is Right or something that whatever happens, like what he's done and what he has built, it is the most amazing and special thing I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yeah.
Like they stand in front of him and cry, like can't believe they've met him. And that's what this is about. Like all of the money in the world does not buy that. You can have the biggest record label on the planet backing you, and you will not get that loyal fan base unless you actually touch people's hearts.
Yeah.
And you actually move them emotionally. And that's probably like the biggest accomplishment that we've done as a family. Not just Taj, like you said. Not just Taj. As a family, from Cass and I doing what we do and implementing certain things, allowing Taj to do what he does, he's motivated and moved people enough to have them leave their house while they're either physically injured or just gone through a surgery, or they've just finished chemo or something like that, and they've got barely any strength, but they just want to get out because they feel like they have to see it in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very moving. I'll
crazy.
tell you, I'm so thrilled to have had you on the show. I mean, this is...
Oh, it's been a blast, boys, honestly.
And for, as we're about to roll credits and everything, this is a two-parter.
Yep.
We're going to split it up. We're going to give 2 dedicated shows to this, because I don't want one word edited out.
No,
I
not
think
one.
It's a message that everybody needs to hear.
Whatever you want, boys. I'm honestly, man, I'm just so grateful just to be part of an industry that, like you guys know, it's really hard. But I'm just grateful that like I've got my position in it, and I'm a very small part of it, and I don't want to be at the front or anywhere like that. I don't need to be any of that. If my legacy is my children and what I put in place between now and when I'm gone, and I know that they don't need for anything, and their kids won't need for anything because of the hard work that Cass and I put in place now, and that's my legacy, then man, my job's done. That's exactly what I want out of my shot on this planet that I've been given. That's what I want for me.
Well,
that's my journey.
Brandin, you're doing something that you've mentioned people like Michael Jackson, and you've mentioned some other youngsters that came through the ranks, and the story always tells about the Jacksons' parents, Britney Spears' parents, all these parents.
Yeah.
No one's done it quite the way you're doing it. And I think if you can be a role model for any other parents that are out there, from two guys looking from the outside, you deserve that.
Yeah.
And we are.
I just want to say one thing on that, and it's like something that like with the Michael Jackson and the Britney Spears and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to really know what they
really
might have lived,
Exactly.
or even like remotely close to knowing even like a 10% of what actually went behind the scenes, and that's why I do stuff the way that I do it. I try to be as transparent as I can. And not everybody likes me, and I'll be 100% transparent with that. Not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone's going to like the way I do things, but I just want to try and do this as honestly and as respectfully as I can, because it would take one wrong thing or one bad decision as this gets bigger and bigger, and every bit of hard work that I've put in and everything that everybody thought they knew about me could be turned on me like that. And you guys know this industry well enough to know that that's a true statement.
Yep,
something
for sure.
can be turned. So that's why I don't ever try to judge anybody else's situation when it comes to like I had a guy saying to me the other day about like Joe Jackson. Oh, I used to beat his kids and did this and did that. Beat his kids, man. My parents used to ride me from one side of the state to the other if I didn't do my schoolwork.
Ain't no lie.
I didn't get an ass whooping.
Right.
Like the only difference is that his kids were hella famous.
Yeah.
So everybody knew about it.
That's
I
right.
know the kid next to me, man, he couldn't move left or right, or his dad would whoop his ass like for not even a third of the stuff that I used to get in trouble for.
Bingo.
That kid would come from a real strict
Right.
family home. So it's like that's why I do things the way I do.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to keep everybody happy.
Yep.
And nor am I trying to, but I share so much of my world so that people hopefully get a real glimpse into what this is and what it's taken to get to where we got to go.
Yep.
And how much more it's going to take to get to where they foresee Taj's future is going to be. And just be as honest as I can along the way. And first and foremost, that my kids' safety and happiness is the priority. And that's really it. I think the rest will keep itself pretty well under control. I mean, he's still a pain in the ass. Taj still does heaps of annoying shit. Let's be honest. Like,
This is the perfect way to end the show.
Too.
He's still a pain in the ass.
Still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
He does heaps of dumb, annoying stuff, like just before show, and like he fights with me over. Do you guys know that Taj doesn't wear shoes on stage?
No.
You know that's a thing.
Yeah, we've known a couple people.
We have a couple people from here to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, do you have how much crap that I get? Oh, the kid's going to get electrocuted and da-da-da-da. Okay, have you told a kid, no, they can't have that block of chocolate and they still sneak it anyway?
Right.
That's what I deal with on a daily basis for the shows. Like, I could... Here's a $200 pair of Nikes that I bought him. Where are they? Still shiny, brand new white, on the floor, underneath the thing. He doesn't wear shoes. He's been out in the cow paddock. He would rather come in with cow shit between his toes than ever tread in it with a pair of sneakers on. Like, Taj is not groomed to do stuff like that. Taj is not groomed to wear shoes.
Right.
He doesn't like shoes. So it's like forcing your kid to eat Brussels sprouts if they don't want to eat them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I pick my battles.
Yep.
And making him wear shoes on stage is near impossible.
Right.
Like, it is near impossible. So it's like, but that's sort of where I'm coming from, is that like where we were just touching on the end of like the parenting thing.
Yeah.
And why I said he's a pain in my ass. Because when I say to him, mate, you got to wear shoes and da-da-da-da-da, then like I post a video, he's got no shoes. Oh, the parents neglect and da-da-da-da-da and oh, blah, blah. I don't care, but it's like, it just makes it a little harder. Like, this is already hard as it is.
For sure.
So could you just wear shoes? And he's like, nah, I'm good. So, like, he's 14, you know? So it's just like, you just got to pick your battles, man.
Yeah.
Pick your battles.
That's awesome. Dude, I can't tell you how thrilled we were to have you on. Can't wait to hear back from you.
Been a blast, man.
We want you up here. You got to come upstate New York. I don't know if you're or Central New York. I keep saying upstate.
Central New York.
Central New York.
I've got my tour manager overseeing. May I please have the dates for New York? Thank you. See, I feel
look how we did that.
Look at me.
Yeah, watch this. Hey Alexa, turn off the sign.
It's like instead of having Alexa, I've got a Melanie.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Well,
I've got myself a Mel.
Yeah. Well,
hey Mel, where am I on the 26th of October?
She's like, I don't know.
If I asked Alexa, she'd be like, who fuck knows? What is it? Boston is 31st of May. Yep. New York is the 2nd of June.
Where in New York?
Are
we talking like New York City?
Yeah, New York City. Yep, New York, New York. We have Albany. I don't know whether that's far.
Oh, Albany.
That's close to us.
That's like
2 hours.
2 hours away.
Signed that contract today. That's how I knew we had it. So definitely have Albany. Signed it today. Can't give you a date, but we definitely will be looking around, let's say, July-ish.
Okay.
July-ish. July. Let's go July.
July
something.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you guys ever want to come to a show, man, we'd love to have you. Bring the family and, just inspire some more people to see some cool stuff. And
maybe can do that.
We could set up even like a green room interview or
something.
Interview.
Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. Taj would really, really dig that. I think that'd be something like. He gets a bit funny with some people, like, because they're really overwhelming. But like, I've spent enough time with you guys, know that he'll dig the conversation with you guys, and
cool.
It'll be hella fun, and he'll be all about it.
Sorry, maybe we could have like a 15-year-old dating game that he doesn't know he's going to walk into, and
Man, yeah, and he'll just be like, "Where's all the ladies with their dentures?
Yeah, where's the old ladies?
Right, where's the old ones?
Yeah, is this a stitch up? Why is there so many young women here?
Why are there children here? I like the broken hip versions.
Yeah. There's not enough walking frames at the front door. Where's the lineup of walking frames?
See the one with the lazy eye and the limp? I want that one.
I got to learn a Neil Sedaka song. That's it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Anyways,
man. You guys are the best. It's been a hoot, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
It's been super fun.
We're gonna we'll do some editing tonight. We'll get this all put together. I'll send you links because it'll be 2 episodes.
Yeah, no stress, man. Too easy, but I'm excited for it, and like I said, I'm excited for people to really, really. Hopefully, they take some I'm actually excited for other parents. That's a lot of people know our story, like in regards to like not all of it, like you said, like the AC/DC and how he really needed, like with my parents and like all the things we touched on at the start. But I'm excited for like other parents that are out there that may be doing this, and hopefully they see some of our struggles and know that they're not on their own. It's like Taj is in this big glitz glamour world and everything's great, and we're in a really good position in this moment. That can change tomorrow, as you guys know.
Yep.
But we did it really, really, really tough to get to where we are. And you literally go to the bones of your ass before this works out. And I don't think still I've met an artist from Jelly Roll all the way through to every other guy out there crushing it right now. They didn't just get that shot.
Yeah.
They absolutely pounded the pavement, tried different genres, tried musicians, guitars, instruments. Like they had to figure out who they were, and then they made it. So it's like, hey, we're in the same wheelhouse. We're on a different journey, but we're in the same wheelhouse, and we're doing it.
That's awesome. Well, special thanks to your Alexa, Melanie.
Yep.
So
thanks,
we have to.
Melanie.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah. Melanie can stick her face in and wave to the people at home. Yeah.
Mel, you got to come and wave. They said.
She's like, no.
They said stick her face in. Everyone has to get yourself a Ninja Turtle version of Mel.
Oh, there you
God
go.
bless
That's the
her.
There you
best
go.
shirt ever.
Yep.
Hello.
I know.
Perfect.
I actually tattooed a bonus at the end of the last tour because I'm a tattoo artist by trade, and so's my wife. Hence why I'm covered.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was her bonus. At the end of every tour, we do. She would have to go and pay $2,000 or $3,000 to have those tattoos that she wanted done.
Yeah.
So I just go to, all right, pick your pieces. And we do it, but I ended up doing like her whole thigh is like Leonardo Donatello, like the whole Ninja Turtles is.
Oh, that's
all her.
awesome.
It was a massive sitting, but yeah, like that. But that's what you do for family.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
I said
exactly.
earlier,
Yeah.
She grafted for 2 years. She grafted with me for 2 years for nothing. Didn't expect anything. So
Jeez.
anytime I can help her, if it's $1,000 tattoo that she doesn't have to go and employ someone else to do on her,
Right.
and I get to do it.
Awesome.
She gets a piece of history from me, and that friendship that we've built, like something that she gets from me for the rest of her life. So yeah, it's cool. Everyone has to get a Mel. If you're
That's
out
right.
there,
Right,
get
get a
yourself
Mel.
a Mel. Life's easy.
Mel,
To hell with Alexa. Get a Mel.
Get rid of
getamel.com.
Alexa. She's
Yep.
useless.
Yeah.
Getamel.com.
Yeah.
Let's say we're gonna
Mel.com.
patent that.
Yep.
Getamel.com.
That's right. We'll help you. We'll help
right,
you.
boys.
We want to be endorsed by
Yep.
getamel.com.
Get a Mel.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
dude.
being on.
So appreciative.
We will be
I
at
appreciate it,
we will
boys.
be at your Albany show if it kills us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man, let's go. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it's gonna blow your mind. I'm telling you, man. It's by then, what he did last night, I actually never thought he'd be capable of doing on an instrument. So by Albany,
First
I couldn't
person
even tell you.
first person I scheduled on my NAM calendar was when I saw that your son was going to be there. I was talking to the guys that I was going out with, and one of the guys I was going out with played in the Metal Allegiance show the night before.
Yeah.
And he goes, what are you most excited about seeing? The guys from Metal Allegiance, Mike Portnoy. I was like, no, I'm telling you, this kid Taj is going to be playing there. They're like,
Who?
yeah. And then all of a sudden they saw him. They're like, dude. And I've never seen my buddy pick his phone up and
fast.
start like video. And I was like, told you. I was like, this is the best.
Man,
this is the best day.
Yep.
So a little tip on that show, just before we leave, that Ultimate Ears show,
First time.
they couldn't run amps or anything.
Right.
So Taj had a pedal board that was completely built for touring. Had to have like headroom, all of the above.
Yep.
Taj runs over to the Friedman booth when he found out that he was playing. Tony's like, let's go. We'll put him on at this time tomorrow. So anyway, we get in there in the morning. He's signing autographs at some place. Then he's at LR Bags playing around with new acoustic stuff. And then he was with Rick Skillman at Celestian, and he was the 100th anniversary artist this year for the Celestian company.
Yep.
And so he's doing all the obligations with that and taking photos and all that. And then he's like, looked at the clock and he's like, oh no. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I don't have an amp or anything like with me. So he runs over to Dave. Dave gives him one of those new IR pedals, like that's basically an amp in a box.
Right.
Yep.
A direct box. Yeah.
So he plugs it all in, shoves it through the effects loop, runs up to the thing, sets it up on stage, dials it in a little bit, then grabs a set of in-ears, and they're like hardwired ones. They weren't even like wireless mixed or nothing, just like a hardwire one in the floor. And it was so funny. He just starts playing. Then he got he's playing Parisian Walkways, and he got up to that big note where he holds it. I'm pretty sure you boys I think. Did you see that? Did you see him play Parisian?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that.
Yeah,
I
so,
saw the
he
whole thing
holds
over
that
there.
note, and it was like he was waiting for the sustain not to
Yeah.
be there. It was like he was
Right.
waiting for it to and he holds it, and he's like, "Nah," and he usually turns to the amp to get feedback, and he's going like this, and you could on the video you can see he's like couldn't quite figure out what to do, and he's like, it was like awkward because he's so used to having that same rig and the harmonic feedback to the pickups. He uses P90, so he's got that old school
there you go.
flavor, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was just funny, man, just to watch because he's gone into this DI pedal essentially. But Dave has done such a good job with it that Taj goes, it felt like I had an amp on stage for the first time. Like he's got helixes and all that stuff. But just that moment in time was just so funny because he just wasn't expecting it to work as well as what it did.
Right.
And he was just like, it was like he was he wanted a 100-watt head. He wanted a 100-watt plexi on stage, but he was just like so stoked that little pedal. That's all they had room for on that little stage. So it's like, put it on your pedal board, make the most of it. And then when he got to that note, he was so worried. You could tell he's looking at me like that. He's like, man, this better work.
Right.
And he's gone and held it, and it just had sustain for days. And Taj is like, yes, it works.
That was the first time he had in-ears too, wasn't it?
Very first time.
Yeah.
Like, he's used in-ears like in a studio.
Right.
And he's used in-ears. I think he used ears with Rob Thomas. I think Rob made him use ears. Didn't he, Mel? Yeah, see? Melanie, did Taj use ears with Rob Thomas?
Yeah. That'd be a hella yes.
Yeah, so I think that was it. So, yeah, that's about the only other time. Like, only other time he's used them. He's used them very, very small amounts. But, yeah, I think he played well. I think he played really well.
Crushed it.
For the, like
he was almost as good as me. Yeah.
Man, I gave that up a long time ago.
Okay.
No shit. Yeah.
But almost as good as me stopped around 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, maybe at eating pancakes, but other than that, I don't think I can hold my own against that.
100%.
Although you can have the
Like I
Vegemite.
said, us other mere mortals just have to,
There you go.
You
Just
eat your
line up.
Vegemite, and I'll play the
that's it.
didgeridoo. I don't even know what that is.
Jesus.
Well, God bless, guys. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's
Thank
been
you.
a hoot. And
No,
like I
thank
said,
you.
We'll get to see you on the next one, and I can't wait to see you in Albany.
Yeah, definitely. Stick around. We're going to roll out of this on the credits, and then we'll say our goodbyes. So hold up.
Man.
You ready?
I've been ready.
You ready to end this, Jeffrey?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Oh, always.
Oh.
Hey, what a great one. You've been listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
And we just had such two episodes of Brandin Farrant. Farrant. Yes. I don't care. All I know is they were great freaking episodes, and we thank you so much for being on. And if parents that are listening to this know, there's hope.
There is.
We want to thank Auk Medical Supply, Sharky's Event Center, DJ Life's a Beach,
Good Nature Brewery, Uncle Jimmy's live local music, The Print Shop Underground, Snarky Productions, and
Ultimate Ears, and Toffee Break Toffee.
Yes.
Ultimate Ears, thank you so much.
That one.
We love you for all you're doing for us, all you've done. And stick around next week. We'll have part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2 of this great show. So, we'll talk to you guys later. Be kind, be good to each other. Peace.